I'm ready for today. Are you?
I'm ready for today. Yeah, we've got some teams. A lot of names I recognize on both sides. Also some new faces. We've got some substitutions coming in. We got a rolled swap. I know Cloudbree is a pretty seems to be a pretty well known face around here. Seen a lot of talking about the name, but yeah, just roll swap down to support today. I think earlier this week. So we got 2 ADCs in the bot lane for Elysium Supermassive. Cloudbree was there before, and more ADCs the better for competitive. I mean, at least my experience is there's a ton of people who want to play ADC in these leagues. But yeah, it's gonna be a banger. I think these teams have a lot of players I recognize who so there's a lot of experience there, a lot of dedication that these players are going to bring to the table.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be an interesting game. Both teams coming off of a loss last week, and they're looking to kind of what's the word? Correct. They're readjusting themselves after that, and course correcting. Thank you, production. So they're course correcting right now, and this could be a big game or a big series for them. You lose today, you're 0-2 in the last 2 weeks. That can definitely be a mental hole to get out of for the team, and getting a win, rewriting the ship after that is always also a big deal. So I think we're going to see a lot of effort from both these teams today, a lot of push to get things back on track as we are going to get underway into draft in just a moment. But Potatoes, anything that you are looking to see in the drafts today?
Nothing too specific. I feel like a lot of these champions that these guys play are pretty standard. A lot of hyper carries in the bottom lane. A lot of the staple junglers. Looking through the OP.GGs and such, there wasn't anything that stood out to me as like too much of a curveball. There was maybe like a Vladimir pick for Badger in the mid lane. We see that come out. That could be cool because a good Vladimir can exert a ton of pressure. But then on the other side of things, Naysayer plays some Malzahar, and that can be really annoying for Vlad. So maybe they won't want to bust on that. We'll see. But yeah, so far it looks like a lot of the bans are over towards those junglers. No one likes getting ganked, and most of those bans are over towards those ganking junglers that can zip on over a wall, make your life hell. And now I've got a Caitlyn ban. I mean, again, annoying in lane. Get it out of here. The Elysium just wants to play like a Jinx or a Vayne or a Zeri, something that can scale up into the late game potentially. We'll see. Or wait, that's Omega on the left side. But yeah, banning the Caitlyn away generally indicates to me that they're going to want to play something that's maybe a little shorter range, wants to scale up. It's actually going to be the blind pick Galio presumably for Badger, but it could be a flex pick. I mean, so it's a strong pick in the mid lane, but it's got its counters. Longer range control mages like Hui. That Ziggs could be into it. Could also be a bot lane Ziggs, but yeah, either you want to outrange the Galio, or you kind of want to take something that's like an AD duelist that can just beat him 1v1. And we're seeing the Jarvan and the Ziggs. So you can combo the Cataclysm with that Mega Inferno Bomb. Stack up the AoE damage. Stack up that zone control. Two strong picks early on from Elysium. But the Wukong
coming through for them, most likely in the jungle, and it's been like a very beefy comp, a lot of easy way to get in. You have the Wukong go in, spin the Cyclone, you have Galio enter triumphantly, and following it up with the Lucian for a little bit more ability to poke down in this bottom lane. I'm going to guess that they're going to look to pair that with like a Nami or Emilio or the like. And the response is going to be the Scion from Elysium, that really powerful Scion pick. It's one of the strongest champions in the meta right now. And if I'm OGH, I'm a little worried now seeing that, a little sweating a bit, because Lucian does not deal well with tanks.
No, and Galio's not great at it either. Wukong, though, does have some armor shred on his Q, so that might help him out in that department, but it's still going to be a challenge to chew through that HP bar. And yes, like you mentioned, Scion, very strong pick in the meta right now. He's I don't think he's quite undefeated at Worlds, but he's got a lot of wins there.
He's just last we checked on Monday, it may have changed with the games this morning, but he was 10-2 in at Worlds. And I will honestly, I'll double check that just to make sure. But while we're doing that, the Kai'Sa gonna come through for Elysium, their second to last pick. The Scion currently, 10-2, 69.4% win rate at Worlds, or pick and ban rate.
But we are going to see the Mordekaiser come through for Dwango Unchained. That is a very solid counter pick into the Scion because he's got the passive magic resist shred on the E. He can steal your stats with his ult, and he loves extended fights into tanks. That is basically what he's best at. Either that or kidnapping a squishy and just beating them up in the death realm. So it's going to be Lucian Braum for the bot lane, actually, not one of those enchanters that we expected to see, but that's also a very strong combo. Lucian's passive pairs perfectly with Braum to get that stun off really quickly. And then we see the Rakan paired with the Kai'Sa. So adding a little bit more engage. I think Rakan Kai'Sa is a great combo because they're both quite mobile. Rakan can kind of dash in and out off of Kai'Sa's movement, and Kai'Sa can also follow up on Rakan's engage. But yeah, Raptor, what do you make of these compositions?
I feel like I really want to like OGH's. I don't like the Lucian. I think it's really bad in this matchup, and it's going to really struggle the later this game goes on to really be effective, unless it can like assassinate Naysayer or My Team is Muted. But I do like the rest of it. I think Mord is good in the Scion. You know, you can E him out of the queue. You can ult him while he's charging at you. And as far as I'm aware, that will still pull him into the Death Realm because it's not technically stopping him. So that should at least divert some of that aggression from the tank, keep him off the team for a little while. And they've got some good front line to go with it. I like the Galio, I like the Wukong, but you know, on the other side, Kai'Sa Rakan is a very classic bot lane. I hope they do the matching IG skins, but I feel like there's just more tools in the pool for Elysium and more ways to play these fights than OGH. And I just feel like if it gets to past 35 minutes, it's not going to be fun for them.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I feel like both teams have a lot of great ways to engage these fights or disengage. I do think one thing that's gonna potentially hurt OGH is the lack of like range or wave clear. I mean, Lucian can wave clear, Galio can wave clear, but it's not something like the Ziggs that can just like practically permanently keep you off of a turret unless you've got Baron. So if they find themselves behind, I think it's going to be hard for them to stop the siege. They're really going to need a good flank from Wukong to set up the rest of the team to follow up or something like that. From my side, I think I'd also give a slight edge to Elysium, just because I think they have a little bit more tools. But if that Mordekaiser gets ahead, I think they're gonna have a really hard time answering him. So yeah, we'll see how things play out. I think they've got very strong looks from both sides here.
Yeah, and this will be I think a good matchup. This first game will be a good test to see where these teams are kind of standing right now, how their read on the meta is, especially after today. You know, there was a patch today, and we had some decently sized changes for a couple champs and items. Biggest of all, the Doran's items all got nerfed pretty substantially, as did Catalyst and Second Wind. So no more of that sit in lane and just take hits and get all that extra healing. You are going to have to actually kind of engage in your lane now. And then we also got some buffs and nerfs and adjustments. Probably the biggest winner on the buffs is going to be Yunara. She's already really strong, I feel, just maybe not in solo queue, but now she's getting buffs. Her W actually does damage. It's like at level 1, it has 11 times the damage it had originally on base.
Wow.
It's a high base. It's a high base. But other champions
already kind of hurt.
Yeah, other champions though we might see, but we haven't seen anyone yet that's been affected by these buffs or nerfs in this first game. So we'll worry about that as we get closer to it. But first, we're on game number 1. We're on the Rift, and we're gonna take a quick freeze frame before we get on into game number 1. OGH Elysium S. Let's go.
Elysium Supremassive, yeah. Yeah, it looks like we do have a bit of a freeze here, but okay, I mean those nerfs to the Doran's items are going to be interesting to see. I think that makes in a matchup like this, Galio might want to take Doran's shield into the Ziggs, try to sustain that through that poke, but it's a lot harder to do with those nerfs. I mean, as a mage player myself, I'm very happy with these changes. I honestly hope they give buffs to like assassin characters if they're struggling, because I thought it was very frustrating to like play against like an Akali or some other assassin champion, and their gameplay plan is just, I'm going to eat your spells, you're going to go out of mana, and I'm going to still be 2/3 HP. Maybe I'm just bad, but that's my rant. I thought that was very frustrating. I would much rather have the game be like, hey, you're gonna try to poke me down. I'm 25% HP, but I'm still gonna solo kill you. I think that's way cooler for assassins to be able to play that way. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see if Riot adjusts down the line. But yeah, we are into the action, or well, not action yet, but I think we are about to see some in this bottom lane bush potentially.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Alrighty, well, they got spotted by a ward, so the cheeky play has been spotted out against OGH, and they're just gonna go for a traditional hold the bush kind of play, maybe rotate on up towards the mid lane, and they really do seem like they are looking for something here.
Yeah, no cheese for the side of Paneer. I also got a shout out, just Paneer and Waffles. Great name down in the bottom lane. It sounds like an innovative breakfast combo to me. I might have to try that one out myself.
It probably tastes pretty good.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I feel like you could make something pretty good with that. So
yeah, all you're doing is replacing your carb of rice with waffles, and I think that's you could do rice flour waffles, make it more traditional. Ooh, you could do some fun stuff, but we're gonna have to talk more about recipes another time, as we are already seeing the teams going back to their default positions and starting a pretty casual start to this game. And yeah, a win here for OGH. This would put them tied with Elysium S at the 2-2 mark. A win here for Elysium, that's a 3-1 start to the season. So good place to be, especially this early on. We're already seeing an engage down here. My team is muted, getting engaged on by Waffles. Paneer going forward. The flash out of my team is muted. And now they're turning looking for Waffles here, but Library's not going to find anything else. Paneer now trying to get that extra little bit of trade and flashes forward and gets the barrier out of muted and the flash as well. So 2 summoners will be down there on Syndicate's bot lane, and a good start. The aggression from Lucian, it's what we need to see. We need to see Paneer really get a lead here to end this game early. Like we said, you're going to hit the 35-minute mark, and you are not ahead by more than like 1,000 gold. You probably are going to lose this game because the Scion's will become a monster tank.
He's going to be an issue if the game goes late. And while OGH was getting a really nice trade down in bot lane, Badger was getting bullied out mid. Actually had to blow the flash at level 1 against the Ziggs. So, really feeling the pain, trying to take some aggressive trades, because there might be a fight here in the jungle.
Yeah, Unleash finds Amon, but they don't really want to continue that. They do see the Ziggs coming on over Metal on the top side, going with Dwango. He is unchained this game. He is unleashed. Well, actually, he's still partially chained until he gets 2 items. Then he's unchained.
Yeah, makes sense for OGH to back off that play. The Jarvan was level 3 there, while Wukong was only level 2. So
they might look for them right here. Cloudberry gonna get stunned on up, and you're trying to get a lot of damage on there, and you got to think that's gonna be the back, and it is. Elysium Syndicate's bot lane will be backing up there. The aggression works, but Hammond Karn is down here, so they might try and make a play happen. You can see the Jarvan hanging out in the bush, but he doesn't know Wukong is here. He's looking for Paneer. He's trying to get the flag and Drash. Cloudberry goes in. We go in for a quick freeze frame. And you might remember how they ended up in this position. And it's because there was no ward out there in the river, or at least in that tri-bush, because they seem to be backing up. Looks like we are having a little bit of stream trouble. We're going to get that taken care of for you all in the moment, but there is no flash.
What happens next? Put your guesses in chat.
Well, I have a guess. Paneer dies here because he doesn't have flash, because he used it earlier, but he does have barrier. So Waffles could flash out if he wants to turn around, maybe throw a Q, and that might actually secure them the kill onto Cloudberry if the turret shot goes through and Paneer can get a shot in. So it might be a 1-for-1 trade. Or actually, I don't know if Paneer has the dash. So if he does, he could dash out and they could just kill Cloudberry and force some poke onto Hammond. But I think this is overall, I think, a good spot for OGH. I don't think it's the worst position for them to find themselves in
Yeah,
this engage.
I think the Lucian's mid dash there. I can't quite read that animation, but it looks to me like he might be either just starting it or just finishing it. So if he's on the edge of that Rakan knockup, he could die, but there's not a ton of follow-up damage. Like Kai'Sa has no flash to get in range, and looks like these knockups are going to be layered, like right on top of each other. So they might not be able to maximize that CC duration for the side of Elysium. If Cloudberry is going to tank tower here, I think he probably goes down. If he doesn't, or if Jarvan picks up the aggro, then I think they can get at least one kill here. But yeah, I mean, either way, this is I think something along the lines of a 1-for-1 is pretty likely off this play. It's a pretty deep force from Elysium. Good job from Omega Gaming to kind of back up when they didn't necessarily know Jarvan was there.
Yeah, they they had a good guess. I saw awards. They may have seen him in the try, but they did take a while to get back. So maybe they didn't. They thought Wukong could get there quicker. That also could turn the whole thing. We aren't even taking into account the Wukong hiding off of there by the Krugs. So if he can get over there, he might be able to get an extra kill for OGH's bot lane. And yeah, we're gonna. But yeah, this is a good first game. Some good pieces. And I guess while we're waiting for this, I guess we could talk about the patch today. If you wanna, we can talk about some of the changes for champions.
Sure. Let me pull that up.
Yeah. Hang on.
We're
Actually,
back
we are
again,
back in the lane, and wow, we have jumped into the future. It is 4-1 OGH. I guess. Yeah, we're gonna switch to a quick replay, see all that happened here because a lot happened. But based on those scores, I'm guessing OGH did get out of that dive in the bot lane.
Looks like maybe Waffles went down in the play, out of all things, despite having the flash up. But yeah, I also see a death on Rakan and a death on Jarvan. So it's looking like not the best time for Elysium.
Yeah,
We're
and
gonna
then
get
also
to see how that all shook out though.
I'm seeing the Ziggs just died there, so we know where he's about to die. But the Scion has a death as well, and he has what I would say are interesting boot choices for a Scion.
I don't see.
But we'll
any
get back to
boots
that when we
here.
get
I
back.
don't know what you mean.
Yeah, we're gonna go back into the past. We're Samurai Jack now. We're traveling to defeat Aku, and that Aku is a production glitch, as we are gonna take a look at what happened in this fight. So we're gonna play it to you though this is live. So Paneer and Waffles, they did not spot Haman Karn, so they're backing up. The flag and drag comes through. So Paneer does dash. Waffles does get the disengage out. And he's gonna walk forward. Haman King and the bot lane of Elysium are looking very low. So none of them actually died in that play. Okay. That's impressive. So something else must have happened here. We do see the bot lane of Elysium backing on up. And over here in the mid lane, Hammond Karn looking for something onto Badger. Going on in with the flag and drag, but he will miss that. Badger mushroom indeed, as he is going to rotate on up with Unleash. They're looking for Naysayer. They see him in the bush, but Unleash going to go into Hammond King. Badger trying to just keep Naysayer from really joining with the fight. Dwango is here. Badger going forward, gets the slam down, the flash from Naysayer to try to escape. Cloudberry has come on over to assist the team, so this could be a 4v3. OGH needs to play this very carefully. Haman King. Oh, Haman Karn was looking for it with the flash flag and drag, but just barely misses, and Badger unfortunately wasn't able to dash into him to at least knock him up under the turret. But it's still going to be a 0-0 trade. 2 sums burned on the side of Elysium, and not much else to say for that whole situation.
So we saw 2 fights, and none of those kills that were on the scoreboard actually came through, which means we are about to get another, an action-packed next few minutes here. I really thought we were going to see at least 1 kill in one of those plays there, but it's going to be, for now, Waffle just holding the wave for Badger, being a good teammate, good support, using that unbreakable to tank up the minion wave. And yeah, with the dragon spawning now, I've got to imagine that this is where the action truly breaks out, as the junglers are making their way over there, unleashed through the bottom side jungle, and Hamon Karn probably going to path down once he gets this red buff.
Yeah, I would imagine that dragon is going to be the spot. I didn't actually see when we saw ahead if anyone had the dragon, so I don't know how that goes, but I'm going to guess that is where the fight breaks out as well, and you can already see everyone starting to rotate in that direction. Unleashed and Badger, the first two going to be in the area. Unleashed actually coming down around the long way, seeing if maybe he can make something happen here, but he's going to go with the Krugs first. Cloudberry and Muted are trying to be cautious here. They know that one wrong mistake could cost them this early dragon, and they're really struggling in this matchup. Rakan into Braum is a very rough matchup. While you only have one projectile, so it's not blocking a lot, walking up close to someone who's auto initiates basically a time stun after 4 autos, it's stunned, is not what you want for Rakan, as Cloudberry gets engaged on and gets blasted to half health. Paneer gonna dash on in to secure the first blood, and that's what we said. Waffles walking forward, Cloudberry going forward gets the one hit from Waffles, and it sets up a nice stun for him.
And that's just those like small advantages turning into larger leads. You know, the CS lead that this Lucian had earlier turns into a pickaxe, which means that combo is lethal, as more fighting might be coming in the near future.
Yeah, more fights could break out as the dragon is started up here. Waffles buying space against Hamon and Naysayer. Paneer is in the area, as is Cloudberry and Muted. So everyone around, the members of OGH are getting pretty low. The flag and drag going in isn't going to secure it. It's going to go to OGH on the dragon. Waffles falls, but the Galio comes on in, gets the knock up onto Naysayer, and Badger's on the run. Despite that crazy ult in. Oh, Dwango getting a solo onto Metal in the top lane. So a 2-for-1 in favor of OGH. So we do see where those two come in, but I'm actually surprised they managed to get out despite a Galio ult in with only one member dying.
Galio basically ulted an already dead Braum. I actually didn't even see Braum get the shield because I think he just died to like an auto attack or something to finish him off. So not a ton of value out of that Galio ult. But yeah, despite losing the dragon and the 2 kills, Elysium's up in gold now. And I think that's just because they got like the better wave state off the back end of the fight. You know, the members of Omega Gaming who lived were chunked out enough that they had to go back. That gave Elysium some time to shove these waves in. So they still might have an opportunity to contest these grubs, but they are later onto the map. So we'll see if they opt into another fight here, because I know there are still some kills from earlier that we have not collected on yet. It's going to be Unleashed and Waffles doing the grubs for now.
Yeah, and there goes one grub as Hamon goes on in. Naysayer here on the side of the fight. Badger going in on him. Unleashed has to go Ghost to get out of there, but they're going to take Hamon down. Feet of Warfare going over to OGH thanks to Waffles, and now Naysayer. We've seen this already. We're just watching a repeat. We finally caught up, and the flash from Badger will secure Naysayer. That's a 4-for-1 lead on over OGH. And now we're back to where we were when we got out of that little glitch. Gonna see these grubs going, I'm gonna guess, the way of OGH here, as they are now one off of the feat of warfare. I mean, the feat of monster slaying?
Yeah, monster slaying.
Ooh, good dash out of there to get out of Cloudberry's engage. That could have ended really badly, but they're one off from getting 2 feet secured for themselves and looking pretty solid, up about 1,500 gold currently.
Nice gold lead acquired for OGH. They've got 2 objectives, very close to getting those feats of strength across the board. And I feel like Elysium should have had a slightly, a better time than they did contesting those grubs, because they had the later back. Yes, they're a little late to the play, but they actually had like slightly better power spikes, I thought, on their champions. You know, Jarvan had a farm lead and had spent a little more gold. Ziggs had the lost chapter to just some components, like incomplete components from Galio. But I think it's a force from Hamon taking an aggressive engage all by himself. That means there's not enough follow up, and once the jungler is down, the contest becomes pretty impossible. So what looked like a potentially still even game state from Elysium goes really sideways, and now they find themselves on the back foot. This is maybe how we'd expect the early game to go. I do think Omega Gaming has the stronger early game composition in a lot of places, especially with Lucian. So we'll see if they're able to push this lead and try to close out the game as we think they want to.
Yeah, they're in in a good spot to do so far. Looks like the Hollow Radiant's going to be the item for Galio to start this off. Makes sense. Needs the MR to deal with this Ziggs, and Galio really doesn't need a lot of AP to still be able to clear waves. He's got some pretty good bases. Right now, no neutrals on the map, but the bottom lane of Elysium Syndicate has rotated up to the top side. They're going to get that wave pushed in and try to get a little bit extra gold since they were struggling so much on this bottom side here. And now we find some preparation. 1:14 until the Ocean Drake comes up. So this could be a pretty big objective considering it would lock in the feats in the direction of Omega Gaming. Elysium Syndicate still looking for an opportunity to get back in, and they're not that far behind. They've got it down to 1,000 gold, just slightly under of a difference, so there is still potential for them to find success in this game. This Cloudberry, though, gets found out, gets caught out, is going to get stunned, but should be safe under the turret. It does go down to half health. Paneer and Waffles get the stun down. They're trying to prep around this dragon. 40 seconds to go till that's up, and I just realized it is the IG skin duo in the bot lane. That's really nice to see that skin synergy coming out of Elysium Syndicate.
And Dwango is going to be chunking out those turret plates up top while Metal is just proxying here, but there's a potential dive coming in the near future. Omega Gaming with all the control over the river in the surrounding area.
Yeah, Paneer gets jumped by Elysium Syndicate, but Cloudberry isn't going to be able to get too much off it. You're getting really low on health. Cloudberry flash ults on in. They're trying to lock him up, but the ult from Waffles will divert them, as does Unleashed appearing here to try to get something going. But that is now no recon ult, no flash. That's a pretty big engage tool for the side of Syndicate. With the Ocean Drake up, Dwango has come on down. Badger's going to find Nasa. They're going to lock him up. They're going to taunt him up. They're going to try to get him in. He's going to flash. He's going to get ulted by the Mord, and he's going to go down. Now the Dwango is unchained. As one kill already in the favor of Omega Gaming. The Scion still on the top side. Metal could teleport in if his team needs him, but that would be a 5v4. That might not be what they want to take without their mid laner.
If they see Dwango move back up to top, then they might reconsider, still think about going for that dragon, because no one's actually started it yet. Unleash has gone back to his bottom side jungle, trying to make up a little bit of that CS deficit. But yeah, Elysium Supermassive has been able to reestablish some control over the river with their vision. They've got Cloudberry just playing around there, able to dash out if things get hairy, but trying to maintain a little bit of control around those boards, as now Haman might look for a gank on bot lane.
Both of the junglers are here. Cloudberry going to engage onto Waffles, but here comes the Galio ult. Harmon couldn't get out with the flag and drag. The ultimate's going to come through from Unleash, and while the Ziggs bomb will drop, it will not be enough to kill or really hurt anybody. So another kill the way of Omega Gaming. That was the jungle, so the starting up of the dragon has begun. Omega going to take this pretty uncontested. I don't think there's anything that Elysium Syndicate can do here. And Dwango going to pull Metal back. A little slow on that, so wasn't able to stop the Q. But yeah, this is Scion. I feel like there are two matchups that I wouldn't want as Scion, because he kind of breaks a lot of the things that Scions kind of like to do nowadays. One is Singed and the other is Mord, because we did see that earlier. Scion went to go proxy farm behind the turret. So what's Mord do? He just goes does the same thing. He doesn't care. He's gonna be able to nullify that advantage that Scions so often like to do there. And it's becoming a very scary Mord. He's up about 30 CS, a little bit more than that right now on his lane opponent. And that's a pretty scary place to be if you are Metal.
It's a scary place indeed, yeah. Anyone who can just eat through Tank's health bars is a scary matchup for the Mord, or for the Scion. Like a Gwen, also a tough time, but yeah, it's looking rough already for the Scion, and I think things are only going to get worse now that the Mordekaiser has a completed Rylai's Crystal Scepter. We also got to see an interesting little interaction with Jarvan's E, because I'm pretty sure the way it works is if you throw it partway over a wall, if you're at least halfway over the wall, the flag will go completely to the other side of the wall. And what that means is you can actually put your flag out of range of your own flag and drag combo. I believe that's what happened to Haman to get him caught out before that dragon, and just a little micro thing like that, ruining any chance for Elysium to contest that objective. But there's another fight mid here.
Yeah, we're gonna see Badger get engaged on here by Nayrsay and Harmon. Harmon was going in, does do the dunk, trying to see if he can get some extra damage, but it won't be enough. Unleash will pick that kill up. Naysayer also running out of mana. In the bot lane, Dwango ulted onto Muted, and he's just waiting for the dunk to come through. He will pick that up, and now Clapper's trying to get out of there. Ooh, that was also the ult out of the Kaisa too, so that is gone. And now Metal versus Paneer. We already said the Lucian's going to struggle, but I mean, we're not at that point yet where this is a super tanky Scion.
No, I don't know if we're going to get to that point. I mean, Scion is struggling to collect farm. Well, has gotten a little bit more, but he's still down a lot from where he'd like to be. You know, a lot of his thinkiness comes from getting, you know, consistently getting CS, even with like the passive and stacking up that health with the Soul Furnace. So if he's not able to get farm, it's going to be a while till he's really a threat there, and he's going to have to give up another wave as the Herald summoned up in the top lane now.
Yeah, and that's a really smart thing about the Mord pick. Well, it is like it forces Metal to go to MR. So once you rotate the Lucian up, there's no resistance to any of the damage from the Lucian coming out currently of this Scion. And it's not helped by the boots, which I'm going to keep bringing up. These are not tank boots. These are Swifties. They do not do the greatest job when it comes to enabling your tank. Is Badger going to get blasted and is forced to flash out from under the turret? Yeah, this is still a 4,000 gold lead almost for Omega over the last about 6 minutes, and it is starting to turn into their game.
Yeah, nice little satchel charge from Naysayer to get that flash, but Galio has the phase rush and I believe the Nimbus cloak, which means, you know, he can get himself out of a bad situation pretty quickly as long as he's got that summoner spell up. Waffle's in pretty deep actually, but feels confident playing up here. Elysium doesn't know that there's no one around that Braum, so they don't feel confident to go for the engage themselves, and he might walk into Haman here, but he's only a level down on the Jarvan.
Yeah, that's what a spot to be in as the jungler, just seeing that the enemy support is just barely under you and is able to kind of trade damage as the flag and drag will come through looking for Waffles. He's going to get knocked up, and they're going to also commit 3 ultimates to kill him. 4! That seemed unnecessary. Galio ult going to come through. Paneer also ulted, and we did get Waffles, so a 3 for 4 on ults, but feels like a lot to commit just to kill the support.
It's a lot committed, and there's not even an objective they can get off of it. The Mountain Drake is not for 50 seconds here, so, you know, yeah, I don't know if they're going to get a ton of value out of that. On the other hand, some of those ults might be back up by the time they are contesting the dragon, but I don't think all of them will be, as Metal has to fight for his life just to get back into lane, get that CS in top lane.
Yeah, I don't think they all will be. And also, Cloudberry burned heal in that fight, so that also will be a sum down. There's no Ignite for Waffles either, but I think that's... I mean, Flash for Waffles, but I don't think that's as big a deal. I mean, it is a Braum. Yeah, it does have some mobility to get onto his team. As Unleashed is going to be found here by Cloudberry, but Waffles is back already, and he seeks vengeance as he marches forward. The blast from the shield door. Cloudberry going to be forced to dash over to the mid turret. Dragon's up in 5 seconds. This would put OGH on Soul Point if they can get to it. And they already are the first ones into the area. We're already seeing Dwango holding Metal to the top lane. They're not gonna let him out. And Elysium does not get to take the dragon, but they will at least try to trade for this mid turret. The wave is pushed in, but Badger and Waffles are here and will divert them from going forward. So this is the call for Harmon, like, hey, we've already seen 2 walk over here. Let's go for the dragon, but it's already gone. Unleashed has already got it, and Omega plays that whole situation really well. They don't lose a turret. They don't lose any members. They get the dragon. I call that a win in their book.
Oh, absolutely a win. And what's interesting is looking at these items, I actually think if Elysium had taken the 4v4, it might not have been too bad for them. A lot of the gold lead for Omega Gaming is on this Mordekaiser. He's 3-0. He's up 40 CS. He got pretty much a full plate turret with platings earlier, but you can see, yeah, if you look at the items, you know, the Ziggs is on about item and a half, same as Galio. Very similar situation for jungle, very similar situation in bot. The only real item advantage for the jungle below on the scoreboard is the completed locket on the side of Braum. So that was maybe a contestable fight for Elysium, but they do have a comp that, you know, relies a little more on scaling. So maybe they just opt to, you know, try to take that fight around the 4th Drake instead of the 3rd. They've kind of got themselves backed into a hole here, and they're going to have to do something, I think, to start finding a way back into this game. Maybe Otacon will be the way they do that.
Yeah, Otacon could be good. The dragons as well, if they can start stacking them. 4 mountain drakes on Scion would definitely alleviate a lot of the pressure he's been getting and allow him to become that beefy tank they need him to be much quicker. So that could be an opportunity for them. But if they don't get it, you know, that shield, that could be all the difference in allowing Paneer and the squad to actually be able to fight this Scion. Cloudberry is going to trade with Paneer. Same is muted. Cloudberry going back in, looking for something. Harmon is here. He's looking to maybe flag and drag, but Unleashed has walked forward and saying, there's no monkeying around here. You're not going in this time. If you walk forward, you die. They call. Elysium gets called on the bluff, and they are going to back up. But Badger is hovering around. Maybe going to try to stop these backs. No, he's just going to clear the vision. They're going to press into this turret. Scion has wandered down too. There goes the Ziggs ult trying to clear the wave. And all of Elysium has showed up mid. They need everyone here just to stop this pressure.
They are getting pulled around the map left and right as the Galio and the Mordekaiser are going to go happily collect those side lanes, get those pushed in, give Omega Gaming plenty of time to work with if they decide to contest this Otacon, you know, force Elysium to give those waves up. And so, yeah, the map state looking really nice for Omega as they're sieging onto this mid turret. It is going to be a hard task if Ziggs is there to wave clear. You know, he already did use the Mega Inferno Bomb, but even just that Hextech Minefield and the Bouncing Bomb still can stall out a wave for quite a while. So I think Omega Gaming is mostly just going to try to maintain priority over the wave and use that to get an objective. That's using the flag can be dangerous as Jarvan, but no play made yet.
Yeah, they're looking to just press it in. They do use the W satchel charge from the
Badger
Ziggs to get the bomb. Badger's coming on in, looking for Harriman. He's gonna find him with the taunt. There goes the Braum ultimate too. They're just going forward. Here comes the culling from Paneer. But all the members of OGH get super low and get really nothing out of it. Just a little bit of damage on the Hammond. There goes the Ziggs ult they're looking for. Waffle's gonna get slain by Metal. Galio ulting on in to save his support, but it will not be enough. But here comes Scion. Mordekaiser, who does get the ults down on to Naysayer. So they're going to lose their mid laner here as he does fall Dwango unchained again. But he will finally get shut down as Haman manages to take a kill. And that's 3 for 1, in favor of Elysium Syndicate. As you know, you called that Otacon might be the way back in. This looks like what they're going for.
I was picturing an Otacon throw by Omega Gaming, but instead they kind of just give up their mid tower, then take a fight without their strongest member there, and now they, you know, Elysium Supermassive is pretty firmly back into this game, but Unleashed might have a steal angle here.
Looking for, he's gonna get the spin, the Cyclone coming through. It is gonna go the way of Elysium Syndicate, but can they get out of the fight? Muted, gonna ult, trying to dash away, gets the flash, gets the barrier, and is just trying to run. Badger gonna get knocked up by Cloudberry, who may give his life so his team can escape. Unleashed will pick that kill up, but Metal is so slow on the sign. He already ulted in, and he has no way to ult out. He will fall. Paneer will take him down, and he goes in the undead state. He's probably not gonna pick up a kill there. He's been taunted. He's done. He is gone 2 for nothing in the favor of Omega. So they managed to lose one fight, but come back swinging afterwards. And dragging up in 20 seconds, 25 until Scion. He does have teleport, but they could lose a lot in the meantime.
Yeah, the death timers could mean that Omega Gaming gets soul here as Paneer.
Yeah, Hammond looking for Paneer, who does drop the culling to chase onto him. He's going to flag and drag out of there. And Dragon has spawned. The members of OGH are moving into position to start that up. And with the Jarvan backing, I don't know if they can get here in time to contest. Ziggs could throw his Super Mega Death Bomb, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to really pick this up. And yeah, no, this is going to go uncontested to the side of Omega, who are also trying to use it to take the mid lane. They're not going to be able to, but they'll take Mountain Soul as a nice consolation prize.
Otacon's nice for Elysium, but I think Mountain Soul is nicer for Omega Gaming, and it's, yeah, forced to be given up kind of uncontested because the tempo wasn't great off the reset from the Otacon. You know, Metal overstaying a little bit in the bottom lane and getting caught out, and then Haman walking in by himself. You know, no support there, has to flag and drag out, and once that happens, the objective is pretty much free. Zig's ult is not the most reliable way to steal. And Baron has just spawned, which means we might see some more fighting around here. Elysium has shown that they still have teeth in these fights, but it's going to get a lot harder for them to find these kills now that there's that big ol' shield and extra resistances on the side of Omega Gaming.
Yeah, the resistances will allow them to take these fights maybe a little bit more. Like the aggression they were trying to do with the full shield may be what they needed. Hammond just kind of hanging out, looking for an opportunity to engage in here. He's really got to be the X factor for the team, trying to find these engages, these flag and drags, these cataclysms to lock up OGH and allow Naysayer to get that bomb onto his target. And Metal taking it with Dwango here, but I feel like he's losing out in this one overall.
And I've got to say this, the bot lane from the side of OGH has been really aggressive. I liked what I've seen a lot this game. You know, Paneer constantly dashing in to take aggressive trades with the enemy. Waffles just walking up with full confidence to place down vision, which, you know, could get punished. But at least in this game so far, Elysium hasn't seemed like they feel comfortable approaching that Braum. He's just got so much aura or something that's making Elysium back up. But, the flag and drag does not come through onto the Braum. Maybe he didn't want it. Maybe he didn't want to go in there, because I think Haman would very likely die actually if he takes that engage. Even in the 2v2 with Ziggs there, it's you know, the Lucian Braum does a lot of damage very quickly.
Yeah, it's a really unexpected combo, especially the enhanced auto damage once the passive is procced for Braum. Can really allow him to amplify his carry's damage potential. And right now, we're also seeing a Knight's Vow getting close to being finished for Waffles, which should really help Paneer survive in these fights in case they get engaged on. Hammond looking for an opportunity to flag and drag in, but he's going to flag and drag out. Instead, the culling coming through for Cloudberry, but Unleash is going to be the one to find it. Haman getting engaged on. He's going to Cataclysm in onto Waffles, but Paneer will take him out. Badger keeping everyone alive with the Galio ult. And Ziggs might be able to clear waves, but I don't know if he can clear off all 4 of these members onto the tower, but he is gonna, because they decided they'd rather have Baron right now, and this will be a very early one at that, as it is started up. And Elysium Syndicate, I don't know if they're, I know they walked over there, but they're probably going, surely they can't be starting Baron already, but they are. It's going down, should be down soon as we watch Dwango and Metal just lightly tickle each other here in the bottom side of the map. And yeah, it's going. Everything is coming up Omega right now. And there we go. There's the Baron.
After a couple minutes of silence, Omega Gaming Hydra roars back, and yeah, they make the play happen mid. They find themselves 2 kills. They don't get the tower, but they are surely going to start doing, you know, getting some side lane towers, getting that mid lane tower, because Ziggs struggles a lot into these Baron buffed waves. The minions can tank his damage for much longer. He's got to walk up a lot further to try to take out those buffed up cannon minions. It makes his job a lot harder. He still can stall out if he gets to a wave early before anyone from Omega Gaming gets there. He can, you know, clear it just as fast as if they didn't have Baron. But as long as someone's sitting there babysitting those minions, yeah, it's going to be a tough time for Ziggs.
Indeed. He's done a good enough job just holding this wave, but it will finally go down Unleashed, looking for Naysayer. Waffles going forward. The ult coming through. There goes the spin to win. Paneer going to use the culling to pick up Naysayer, and now they're looking for Metal, who is getting incredibly low. He did ult on in to try to buy some space, but again, not tanky on this Scion. He is he's not Scion living the Scion life right now. Top turret, inner turret gonna fall as well. Now they're looking to get the siege going on to this net inhibitor turret. Turns out all you need to deal with Ziggs is just the Baron. They're gonna break that. They're gonna break the inhibitor. They're gonna move up to the top side. They're looking to take this turret too. There goes another inhibitor turret. There goes another inhibitor. And with 13 seconds till Ziggs spawns, a fight that breaks out here could end devastatingly for the members of the Elysium Syndicate as OGH presses forward. They do not care about caution. They throw it to the wind as they go forward. Cloudberry looking for the engage. Badger taking a lot up. Dwango is here. Naysayer is back up, but the first Nexus turret will fall in. That's enough for OGH. They feel like they've gotten enough here. Badger trying to back, but a little too close. Hamon King going to look to flag and drag onto Paneer and Waffles if he can. His excellent walk backwards, and I think they've given up the ghost on that one.
Don't want to overstay and risk, losing those Baron buffs, giving those shutdowns to the other team. There's a nice big one on Paneer there, so yeah, Elysium going to try to find any stragglers they can, but that enhanced recall is going to get them out of there. And they, Omega Gaming is still going to be very happy with that turret, those 2 inhibitors. But Elysium does have the setup around this Elder Drake now. I don't know if they'll be able to hold on to it because Omega Gaming is so tanky with that Mountain Soul. But here they go.
They go. They're looking for that engage. They're going to find it onto Unleash. Badger the next to fall as he gets shut down. Elder Dragon is up, but 2 members of OGH being down mean that this should go the way of Elysium, though they are low. Waffle's going forward, but he's not waffling. He is committed. They're looking for Metal here. Dwango gonna lock up onto Metal, who does flash over the wall. He is gonna get ulted, and that will go down. Waffles will pick up the kill. Dwango will pick up the stats, and they might have lost 2 members, but they've at least gotten rid of 1 big one for the side of Elysium Syndicate, so no Elder on the table for them, and this could be the call for OGH. Once the respawn timers are done, they've got about 25 seconds. They may make a call to go for this Elder. Yeah, they're heading for
just popped in that play, but yeah, Omega Gaming, they take control and they're starting it up. No flash, no ult on the Mordekaiser means that's one less tool they can use to stop this Jarvan from getting in there.
Yeah, Jarvan trying to get on in, but he's stunned up and thrown around. Forced a flash over the wall, so can't even contest for this Drake. Badger teleports on in just to help his team secure it. Unleashed is here. Hammond is hanging out around. Unleashed going in for him, looking to pick him off. Is not going to find him there. Waffles just buying all the space with his enormous shield. He goes for the Elder will fall. Waffles gets a big ultimate muted, forced to flash over the wall, and they will lose their support as Paneer goes on a rampage with the Elder Soul. This is probably going to be the push from OGH, up 9,000 gold currently over Elysium Syndicate. This game might be done and dusted as Naysayer gets hit by the Cullen, gets him down to almost about half health. Hammond going in, looking for Paneer, going to find him though and go unstoppable. A lot of members taking damage from Naysayer in this turret, but the minions are here. They're going to break that Nexus turret. They're going to keep going forward. Metal trying to get the hit up, trying to see if maybe they can find anything. The Galio coming on through. Paneer though looking for muted, and he is not going to find him in time as game number 1 goes the way of OGH.
Game number 1, more or less all OGH this time. We saw a few good looks from Elysium, but it didn't feel like they were really able to capitalize on those kills they got in either of those winning plays. And outside of that, it was all Omega Gaming. We saw that massive performance from Dwango Unchained on the Mordekaiser, getting the counter matchup and using it to its fullest potential, dominating the top side there. The Wukong for Unleashed also going crazy. Had the 1 death by the Elder, but hey, that happens. And the Lucian for Paneer, also a really standout performance for me in game number 1.
Yeah, fantastic performance out of them in this first game. And ooh, the Scion with no turret damage, so doesn't get to do anything that game. Even Rakan had more at 75 damage. So it was a rough one for the side of Elysium Syndicate, not able to utilize that Scion really well. And like we said, there was till a 35-minute timer for the side of OGH, and they cut it under it by about 2.5 minutes, and it worked out. They take the game number 1.
Yeah, we saw My Team Is Muted was getting very close to, it was really already on, I think, a very scary point with this Kai'Sa. In that one play, Unleashed gets stunned up for just a second and his health bar is gone. And I think most of that is just Kai'Sa damage. The passive with this build he's going, all that AP, all the ramping damage with the lethal tempo, the Ginsus. The Kai'Sa can apply that passive very quickly, and it hurts with this AP heavy build. But not enough access to targets to pull that off consistently. The rest of the team was kind of just dying before Kai'Sa could do her thing. And so despite a good scoreline, some good damage, it's not enough from Muted down in the bottom lane. But I think probably the player for the side of Elysium who had some of the best looks in this game, going to be looking for that bot lane matchup again this time around. If Elysium is able to come back in game number 2.
Yeah, and We'll have to see if they have anything else they've got in the pool. They've used up the OP top laner. Let me see some of these other OP picks come out for this team. I want to see the Unara. I want to see the rest of these champions that got buffs. But we'll find out when we return for game number 2 right after this short break. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Conquerors League, game number 2 of Elysium Syndicate versus Omega Gaming. And we just watched Omega win in a very convincing fashion in game number 1 off the back of, oh boy, I people asking if we had an MVP last game. Who would you give the MVP for that one to?
I mean, I feel like in terms of raw impact, I'd have to give it to Dwango Unchained on the Mordekaiser. He was just a major player in, like, you know, accelerating the early game, taking out those turrets, showing up to fights and ulting key targets. But I will say he had a very, very favorable matchup. And so if we're going off of like maybe a performance relative to expected value, I would give it to Paneer. I thought Paneer had a lot of aura in that game, was finding a lot of aggressive plays on the Lucian, and you know, just getting a lot of value out of that pick in a game that I think is not as easy for the Lucian as it is for the Mordekaiser. You know, you have the threat of the Rakan and the Jarvan and the Kaisa follow-up and the Ziggs bomb that can make it, you know, it makes choosing your engage angles a little bit harder on that champion. So if that's the metric we're going by, I would probably give it to Paneer. I'm incapable of giving a straight yes or, you know, a straight answer, but those are my two picks.
I would give it to Dwango. I felt like the win condition for Elysium was metal becoming big and just unkillable, and he did a great job at nullifying that. He set him really far behind, forced him in down a build path that kept him from really getting as tanky as he needed against the likes of Paneer and Unleashed, and that ended up working out. That was a very squishy Scion, and yeah, I would say it was definitely him. Second place for me would probably be Paneer. But everyone on that team did very good. And, you know, if they put a performance like that, this might be a quick 2-0, but Elysium Syndicate, do they have what it takes to pull a game back? We're going to find out as we get underway into game number 2's draft. And this could be an interesting one, but because everything's already off the table. So what's next on the board?
So it looks like Elysium has opted to stay on the red side, trying to get that counter pick again, which is, you know, hopefully going to go better for them this time around. I think they saved it for support in last game and then opted into the Rakan into Braum, if I'm not mistaken, which is not a counter pick. That's, yes, it's a good pairing with the Kaisa, but if you just wanted a good pairing with Kaisa, you could have done that early. And that also meant that they blind picked the Scion, which exposed him to the Mordekaiser counter. If the enemy plays something like the Mordekaiser, I am not a fan of blinding a tank. Yes, Scion is a little OP, but he still has those few bad matchups that can, well, we saw how things went with the Mordekaiser. So yeah, it's you know, if they'd swapped that pick order around, I think things might have been a lot better for them because they might have gotten a much better top lane matchup. But yeah, bans this game still looking very similar. A lot of junglers. Caitlyn still off the table. No, looks like no change ups there from game number 1. But Those fearless bands at the bottom mean that we are going to see something new as soon as we get into the picks here with, well, it's not really Dwango, it's just the team captain, and it's going to be the Rumble picked up. That is not a pick you see all too often in the Conqueror League, I would say. It's you know, definitely a champion with a bit more niche of a champion, a little bit more feast or famine, and it's going to be answered with the Ornn. Now, I don't know if that's great for the Ornn. I feel like Rumble has MR Shred, which means he can do pretty good damage into tanks. But I mean, Ornn is a great, you know, I always call him a staple pick of the top lane because he has CC, he's tanky, he has an AoE engage for your team. So he's never going to be specifically a bad pick, but I don't know if this is a great matchup for him.
Yeah, I think Rumble's always a very satisfying pick in the top lane. I feel like he doesn't have that many terrible matchups, and just a good equalizer can make or break a game. And layering that on top of a Misfortune ultimate is a way to do it, to really get that damage out. The Trundle also going to be locked in to deal with that Ornn, the counter pick there, to steal all those stats later, make the Trundle. So even if Metal does get ahead, he's still behind because Unleash is just going to steal everything. As the Viego taken in response to the Trundle there. So no support, no mid on both these teams, and I guess they don't think that's top Rumble. I mean, it could be mid Rumble, but I don't know. I'd pick it into Ornn.
Yeah, I just had to look up the win rate data, and it actually looks like on last patch the matchup leans a little bit into Ornn's favor, but very, very, like, it's pretty much even. So yeah, it's not necessarily a counter pick, but I mean, an Ornn that gets to stably scale up is pretty happy. There's a lot of scaling on the side of Elysium. If they're able to get an opening pick for this Jinx or the Viego, they are going to reset all over the place, and that should be a teamfight win. The question is, how are they going to make that happen? I'm expecting to see some sort of pick in the mid lane with some burst. It's going to be the Orianna. That Shockwave can set things up, but it's not the most reliable way to get it done. You need a delivery system, and I don't think Viego or Ornn are great ways to do that. You can do it off of Viego ult, but you know, if he ults in too early, he might go down before getting a reset. Especially when you've got the Nautilus, who can just, you know, lock a squishy Viego down and blow him up.
I'm still puzzled by some of these bans. It feels like they didn't look at what their opponents drafted, and I feel like Elysium wasted 2 bans there. I know that, you may have wanted Rumble mid, but that's such a rare pick, and that leaves the Syndra open. Syndra Ori, very, very, very old school matchup. It is one of the, I'd say before Corki as Deer, that was the original mid lane matchup, was Syndra Orianna. So I'm not surprised to see that in Leona. Kind of what I was expecting, some sort of engaged support for the ball delivery. Still not an Alistair, but decent. And yeah, what do you think of these comps?
I think Elysium's a little heavily indexed into the scaling side. I'm worried they might get behind early and things could just fall apart for them. I mean, on the side of Omega, you know, they have a lot of easy CC. They've got the Nautilus stun, they've got the Unleash, or the Scatter the Weak from Syndra, and the Pillar from Trundle is also a great setup for both of those skill shot CC abilities. You know, pair that with an equalizer, and you could be looking at a lot of AoE damage on top of that CC. So I am leaning in Omega Gaming's favor again, especially because we saw what they can do in game number 1. But it's all going to come down to how things shake out on the Rift. This is an engage from Cloudberry.
Yeah, Cloudberry flashing on in to get the stun will force Waffles flash, but a flash for flash on supports. And no one comes out the winner in that regard. But I do agree that I think, for me, OGH has the better comp, because Elysium, I feel like they want to fight in a narrow space to maximize the Ornn ult, to maximize Jinx Rocket, to maximize the Solar Flare and the Orianna ult. But that's exactly where OGH wants you. They want you in that narrow passageway, so they can drop that pillar behind you, so they can hit a clean Scatter the Weak, drop the Equalizer, hit Misfortune's ultimate just over everyone. And I feel like it's stronger than whatever Elysium has. And especially earlier in the game, like you said, Jinx, Ori, Ornn, Viego, these are champions that kind of scale more into the late game. And OGH's scale too, but they have a little bit of mid-game spike that really will enable them. Syndra really being the one that has more of the biggest late-game spike on this team. So I feel like they will have a lot of advantage early on, and then it just goes to even for them. So I think I give it to Omega. I think they, in my mind, have the better comp. I'm also always just a fan of Rumble. I'm a big fan of Balls from C9 back in the day, where Rumble could be the deciding factor in a lot of situations. But yeah, so far it's just an even game, pretty peaceful. No one really forcing anyone out and forcing big leads just yet. We're only 2 minutes in, but yeah, a little bit less aggressive than we saw last time.
Last game, I think we had 2 flashes blown already by this point, so definitely less aggressive right now. And I mean,
we already have 2 burned here.
That's true, but that was a level 1. I mean, I don't count the level 1 quite like invade quite the same as I do as like someone, you know, getting up in your face in the middle of the lane. That's a different story. But you know, if you're a fan of Balls, you should definitely be taking a look at this mid lane matchup. Syndra Ori, as you mentioned, a very classic one. As ooh, that Syrian charge for metal just going to go a little bit wide, but he still got himself a nice wave state, a little bit of a health advantage in the early game on Zorn. Ornn actually has a pretty solid lane phase, but yeah, I think for Elysium, they're going to need to try to take over the mid game with that mid jungle duo. If you're able to get a good shockwave and have the Viego start resetting, I think that's like the main way they're going to look to win these skirmishes. And the other thing I will say in Elysium's favor is that Omega Gaming's team is not very tanky. The only like true tank there is the Nautilus. Trundle is builds a bit more of the bruiser items. He can get very tanky if he steals Ornn's stats or Leona's stats, but you know, when the subjugate is on cooldown, he is not as tanky, as he is going to be looking for a lane gank down here on the bot side.
Yeah, they're going to have to clear that minion first before he can get over there. He's walking towards the bush. I don't know if they're going to see him here. I don't think they did. So they don't know. Waffle's waffling around. Will he? Won't he? He decides on the will. Now they're going to pillar up Cloudberry, who does not have the flash. Remember, used that earlier in the level 1, and he will fall. First blood going to go again to the Waff himself.
Waffles winning out in the support battle, catching Cloudberry unaware, and ooh, Dwango might be in trouble top.
Yeah, he does flash to get on out as he overheats. So that will be an escape for him, but we're going to rewatch what happened here on the bottom side, and it does look like that they did not see the Trundle walk into the bush.
Nice use of the wave state from the side of Omega Gaming as well. They know that you know, the wave is slowly coming to them, and if Elysium wants any CS, they're gonna have to walk up for it. And the Trundle in the bush means, you know, sooner or later, when someone walks up, a kill is gonna come their way.
Yeah, an easy kill that time. Waffles exerting his pressure forward. He's a very tanky already, Waffle. Ooh, a stun landing in the mid lane, a naysayer. He's gonna flash, trying to run away. Unleash will not continue pressing into the turret, but he's gonna force Ori out of the lane. She'll have to back, and that most likely means a teleport if Syndra can get this lane state pushed in.
And it's gonna be a blasting one picked up for the Orianna in mid lane. That's interesting. Yeah, this matchup typically goes, I would say, in Syndra's favor, but if Orianna knows what she's doing, she can turn it around. At least like a few seasons, or yeah, like a season or two ago, you could rush Merc Treads and you would actually just win the 1v1 because reducing Syndra's stun duration means you can take those extended trades with Orianna's passive and win pretty hard. But yeah, if you're not getting those, you might be feeling the hurt from the Syndra, and it looks like it might be a bit more defensive a build, maybe a you know, Rod of Ages and Seraphs for the Ori as Lingo fighting with the overheat up top.
Yeah, the overheat. Can't cast anything, but the enhanced damage, especially after the buffs they gave it, I want to say it was about a year ago, make him a lot stronger when he's fighting at those max stuff. I think it's an attack speed buff now, actually. Dwango. Gotta be careful. He does win out long-term in extended exchanges, so long as he's not burning too much health, because of all of the equalizer dropping there onto metal. They're just trying to clear the wave out. But yeah, that's the power of, like, while he can overheat, he does not have mana, so that makes it a lot easier for him to just continue poking in the lane, keep trading, clearing waves, and
And I think Riot buffed the value of Doran's Ring for Manaless champions this patch, if I'm not mistaken. As
That was, I think, the one buff it got. But they did lose stats for a non-mana, I mean, 4-mana champions, so that was the little bit of the weakness there. The exact change was something I will have to find as we are waiting to see if anything happens right now. Everyone, though, playing pretty calmly, and there we go. There's the changes. So mana regen got dropped from 1.25 per second to 1 per second, increased to 2 for 5 seconds after you damage enemy champion, and then health regen went from 0.55 per second to 45% of mana regenerated value. So actually, depending on how much mana you have, it could be more health regen, but the mana regen definitely is nerfed in most situations.
Yeah, it encourages trading proactively now, which I think is great. I'm much more of a fan of like, hey, use your abilities on the enemy to get an advantage instead of, hey, get hit by the enemy to get an advantage, as the Doran's shield kind of is. It still does that a little bit, but not as much as it used to.
Yeah, that one dropped on melees for the max healing for taking damage. And oh, we do see Badger manage to pick up that kill in the mid lane as the dragon also goes the way of OGH. So they just continue to win across the board, 1v1s in neutral objectives. But maybe not on this top side. Dwango does get ulted. Karn coming up too. And that's 2 ults and a dead rumble. Elysium Syndicate now on the board.
That's a lane where they've got some nice easy setup with the Ornn ultimate, the Call of Forge God, and oh, they're gonna keep the fight going.
Yeah, they're trying to duel here against Unleashed. Waffles is up here too. They're looking to get onto Metal. The ult has been burned by the Trundle. The hook gonna land onto Metal. He's trying to run away. Can he get out? The stun will land from Karn. Cloudberry looking for Waffles, but will miss the Zenith Blade. So they all back off, but they did get the flash out of Metal. So a summoner spell is down. And they actually got one of Karn too, so they lose both their ults, they lose both the flashes for that one kill, and that's the call. Let's go for the dragon here. I'm not dragon, sorry, the grubs. Fighting it like it's a dragon because the ultimates are dropping. Cloudberry gonna get pulled right back onto that equalizer. And it's not equalizing, it's extending a lead here for OGH. They get the Feet of Warfare, they're gonna get these grubs. They're sitting at 14,000 gold currently. Badger getting another stun onto Naysayer in the mid lane. And one more neutral, and OGH will have enhanced boots yet again.
Kind of a confusing call, maybe a split call between Karn and Metal, as Karn, or as Metal charges into the 2v2, Karn just completely backs out. It kind of leaves Metal for dead and forces the Ornn to blow his flash. I don't know what the comms were like there, but I feel like if I'm Metal and I'm feeling confident to take the fight, you know, I'd be a little mad about getting left by my jungler there. But yeah, and then Elysium takes the re-engage when, you know, the dead Rumble has shown back up with Equalizer. So it's kind of a confusing play all around for my perspective. But Metal is just eating that Flame Spitter right now. Does have that Negatron Cloak, so is a lot tankier in this matchup for now. And yeah, 2.5 minutes till Dragon, probably gonna be the next major objective. I also didn't really get to comment on the solo kill we saw from Badger earlier, but he read Naysayer's Shockwave really nicely. As soon as Naysayer threw the ball at him and starts that ultimate, he flashes right over it, and once Ori's Shockwave is on cooldown, that's a very easy kill for Syndra to pick up, because her ult is point and click, can't miss that. And once you hit that, the Scatter of the Weak is also unmissable, so it's just a full combo out of Badger as fighting in the bot lane.
Yeah, speaking of combo, the combo of Waffles hook into the ultimate from Panir nearly kills Muted and Cloudberry. They're both on the run. Badger's looking around, but he does get caught by Karn. They're gonna stun him up, lock him up, and he will be gone. Badger, go back to base. Now Dwango getting engaged on here with the ultimate from Metal, forced to flash to run away. Now trying to get the Flame Spitter onto this Ornn, who will get the 1v1 onto Dwango. So kills now dead even, gold, slight lead of 200 for Elysium as they find their way back into this game, but ooh, a little bit of an over-aggression from OGH.
Badger walks into an unwarded bush and meets Hamonkarn and Cloudberry. That lockdown from those two is exactly what Viego wants in these kind of fights. And if we see that kind of play again, I think things are going to look really nice for Elysium. And also, just have to shout out Metal for a great solo kill. A little bit confused again. Dwango flashes away from the play, but then opts to go right back in and dies a couple seconds later. You know, if you're going to blow the flash, make sure you actually live because of it. That's my word of advice.
Yeah, I think he thought he could take it still, and I don't think he was expecting the slight enhanced range of Ornn when he W's somebody. So it's just like a little auto click thing that, like, if you're already in range, the auto will just go off even if they walk out of it. But yeah, just a strong spot to be in. Has that MR, has that, what's that called? The bow.
Kanak Rookern.
Yeah, Kanak Rookern. I want to call it Runic Kaner, and I keep getting that backwards. But, I mean, Rumble stronger than Ornn when he gets some pen, but he's got to get pen first before he can really break through that MR, and he doesn't have it quite yet. He is trying to get all the way up to that Leandries. That'll be a good part of damage coming out here as Dwango does go into the red zone, the overheat. On the bottom side, GH pushing forward. Dragon coming up in 9 seconds. This could be their opportunity to really lock in these feats for themselves.
And Dwango just used the equalizer to clear out top wave, which means he's only have it if they fight at this Drake.
Oh, they get the stun onto Hamonkarn. They're gonna use the ultimate and the flash to get him out of there. So Oriole down, flash down for the Viego. Teleport from Metal here. He comes down to support his team and help them get this dragon. He knows that they have to contest this if they want to stop the feet stacking.
And the Call of the Forge God is up, so that can definitely swing this fight in Elysium's favor if they choose to take it. No unleashed power on Badger either. It means it's going to be harder for Omega Gaming to get that one shot, but they have the Nautilus hook and... I mean, he's just top with no equalizer. I don't think he should join this fight, frankly.
That's fair. Well, the dragon is going to go the way of Elysium Syndicate. Badger forced to flash there, but the ultimate will land and get Waffles killed, and now Unleashed will follow his support into the fountain. A double kill and Dragon going the way of Elysium Syndicate, and now they are in, for the first time this series, a lead in game number 2.
And those fights playing out exactly how Elysium wants them to. They find the CC onto a squishy and blow them up to get Viego a reset. I think that was a winnable fight for Omega Gaming if they hit the Nautilus combo with the Misfortune there. That is a completely lethal combo, but they don't get it off. And yeah, Dwango having to use the equalizer to get himself a reset means there's no real power he offers by being at the fight. He tries to take down this top turret, but doesn't have the damage to do it yet. And that means everything is coming up Elysium in these past couple minutes.
To bring this up to 1,000 gold lead currently at 14.5 minutes, but it might not last much longer. Paneer and Waffles are breaking down this bottom turret. They should be able, I think, to get this in time. If they can get a good last minion, they will. They will get the first turret, so they'll get that feat. Wasn't the way they wanted to do it, but they got the feats. So enhanced boots going their way.
That Jinx ult might have been able to clear out the wave, actually. If it lands onto the Nautilus with the Misfortune there, could have saved the turret. It's, a little bit of an awkward reset timing for Elysium's bot lane, which means they lose the turret and don't get a whole lot in exchange, but they might get Waffles or... No, he's fine.
No, he's gonna get engaged on, but returns the engage onto Naysayer. It was all a bait, gets the hook down. A beautiful equalizer lets Badger pick up that kill. And now Cloudberry forced to flash as the Trundle Pillar comes on through. What a good bait from Waffles there. It does burn the Ignite and Flash, but gets the flash out of Cloudberry, gets the flash out of Naysayer. And that's the call. Let's go for Rift Herald here, OGH says. Meanwhile, Elysium Syndicate trying to put pressure onto this mid lane here. Hamonkarn looking for Waffles. Paneer's got to be careful. Doesn't want to get engaged on Zenith Blade's going to go wide. Herald going to go quickly to OGH, and they could drop that mid. They could drop it top. There's a lot of locations they can drop that, but either way, it does mean that they'll be able to get gold, and just like that, Elysium Syndicate's lead is gone.
That was a lot of ultimates blown by the side of Omega Gaming Hydra. I do wonder if a Rift Herald contest was possibly still on the cards for Elysium, but they don't go for it. They just opt to continue collecting farm. You know, they still have, I think, the superior scaling in general, just thanks to those Ornn items, thanks to, you know, the reset heavy comp that they have. But yeah, it's rough giving over that objective because it could turn into some additional gold in OGH's pockets in the next few minutes if they get a good drop.
16.5 minutes into the game, we find ourselves at a basic stalemate. 300 gold difference between these two teams means that there is not really much separating them. Maybe a single longsword. Maybe that. Maybe the boots in the it's that amplifying tome in the Syndra's pocket. That's really the difference between these teams right now. But I don't think that's going to be enough to decide this game quite yet. As there will be another dragon in a minute and 20. It will be another Mountain Drake. So Mountain Soul yet again could be another good game for either team if they get it. Tankiness would definitely help OGH, but even if Elysium gets it, OGH still has the Trundle to kind of absorb a bit of it.
Yeah, both teams are really going to want this. I mean, if OGH gets it, it's going to be much harder to get those resets off, but they're also pretty reliant on the burst from that Nautilus Misfortune or from the Syndra, so if Elysium gets that shield, they'll be plenty happy too. It's not like you have someone like the Mordekaiser of this game who can kind of just run you down even through that. So yeah, it's that's going to be a major focal point, and the dragons are a lot more even at this point. It's not like anyone's running away with those. It'll be a while till the soul is really on the table. We could see the game end before a soul is taken, even depending on how things shake out.
We are seeing the prep 30 seconds till inside track for OGH that they're walking towards mid lane, looking like they're going to try to find an opportunity here. They look for Cloudberry, but Karn shows up, the ultimate comes through, and it's going to land at the Fenrir. The flash out, though, it's going to leave Unleashed to die. The Ornn ult comes through as well, as Fenrir getting super low. A double kill goes the way of Karn, but Badger is here. Oh, the flash forward from Dwango. He does manage to pick up Cloudberry, and now they're looking for Metal, who is rooted under the turret. Oh no, he's going to fall. Dwango gets the double kill, and what was looking good for Elysium isn't going to look good for much longer. The ult from Badger's going to finally take down Karn, get that nice kill. Muted going to pick up Waffles and looking for Dwango, but the stun from the Scatter of the Weak will not finish him off. Now Naysayer trying to do it with Badger. Does have the auto passive advantage. Badger gonna need to scatter the weak if he wants to walk away. Getting another orb down, looking for an opportunity to get low, but he is also catching him back a bit. If he hits a scatter the weak, something good could happen, but 4 for 3 in favor of Elysium, but that, I feel like that was a 5v5. If everyone had been there at the beginning, I don't know if Elysium could have taken that fight.
It was a little bit sloppy because Elysium gets the opening kill, but then they kind of split up and give over a few freebies to the side of OGH, who summoned up this Herald in mid lane and are starting up the Dragon. Teleport coming in from Naysayer means they might want to fight this, but Dragon could be dead before they even arrive.
It's gonna be Elysium, the first one in here. Second, actually, OGH backing off. As they're gonna just give up this Dragon. Don't want to risk it for a single Mountain Drake, but those stats are amplified on a team like Elysium Syndicate. They get enhanced, you know, and getting those Ornn items with a little bit extra enhancement, giving Ornn more tankiness. I don't think that's something that you want to see happen.
Equalizer.
Yeah, it's going to drop onto Cloudberry Muted, but wasn't enough to get them that kill. Teleport coming in from Badger. They really want to try to push this mid turret down, kind of get some more control on this map, as the ultimate going to come through from Cloudberry. Ornn ult coming through as well, and it's going to just hit Badger, who does also get Ori ulted, pulled back, and Karn picks up that kill. Panir going to get stunned and forced out of the ultimate, will fall. And Unleashed will also be the next. A triple kill for Karn. Unleashed will pick Cloudberry off in the back just to make it so it's not a completely one-sided affair, but ooh, not a great spot to find it. And that's going to be Adakon going the way of Elysium Syndicate.
Yep, it's going to be still just about a 2,000 gold lead for the side of Elysium. They've got I mean, and they're getting the fights exactly how they want them. They're finding the CC onto the flashless Syndra there, which opens up the reset for Viego and Jinx. And once that happens, all the other members of Omega Gaming are in a dangerous spot. Now, Omega Gaming is going to get the mid turret here, but it's nothing compared to the power of the Otacon buff here.
Otacon buff, a huge one for Elysium Syndicate. Now they're up 1,000 gold again, plus amplified by now an Ornn item being completed. He will upgrade that Runix, and he's going to start stacking those Ornn items. This is where the gold lead becomes a little deceiving, because it's not just 2K now. It's going to be more. It's more like, what, 2,500 right now with that extra gold, maybe even a bit more. There's a lot of gold value in those items, but Elysium looking so much more confident this game. And as I say that, Hamon gets caught up, gonna get ulted by the Syndra. Scatter the Weak will land, and that will be the shutdown for Badger. Now Cloudberry gonna get rooted up, hooked up, locked up, trapped, and with nowhere to go, he will fall. A double kill goes the way of Badger. And just as we're starting to sing the praises of Elysium Syndicate, they get caught out, and Waffles decides he is done letting this team dictate the way this game goes.
And I'm just confused at what Hamon Karn was looking for there, because that is not a tanky Viego. That is a Kraken Slayer collector Viego, which means if you get caught by a little bit of CC, you are going down pretty fast. And that's 1,060 gold that I saw show up for Badger, which means this Syndra is, well, she was already quite in the game. She was the strongest member on the side of Omega Gaming. Now she's going to be truly threatening with an extra needlessly large rod picked up and those enhanced Mercury's treads. It's going to be a challenge to kill her, and she's going to be dealing even more damage than she was.
Yeah, she's going to be really scary heading into these next fight. Has the Blackfire Torch, has the... Oh god, why do I always forget the name of that one? The helmet.
Cosmic Drive?
Cosmic Drive, thank you. I don't know why. That one I wanted to call it, I don't know what I wanted to call it. I'm thinking of that long range item. But
Horizon
yeah, those
Focus,
are some...
perhaps.
Yeah, the Unleash Focus, thank you. This is what happens when you don't play as many of those mids building those kind of items. You kind of don't remember them all the time, but they're very good. That movement speed coming out of the Cosmic Drive along with Blackfire Torch should allow Syndra to kind of maneuver around these fights, and Badger might be able to actually walk out of some of these more rough situations.
Yeah, this is a popular build into slightly lower range team comps as Syndra, because it gives you that maneuverability to look for a pick, but also back off if even if you don't find one. And ooh, Cloudberry, just shrugs off the pillar, walks around it. He's gonna be fine. Dragon spawning in 40 seconds here means teams are going to be trying to control this mid wave, trying to control the approach into the Dragon Pit, and Elysium is making the move now into the river.
They're pressing up, looking to get into position ahead of this dragon in 20 seconds. Would be soul point for Elysium. OGH is just delaying it a little bit longer for them. They got to get to the second dragon first. And it's going to be Elysium with the inside track here. They are just kind of waffling around a little bit, trying to decide if they even want to go for waffles. Speaking of waffling. Unleashed, Badger kind of hanging out, but they're all really worried. There's a lot of engage potential from Elysium Syndicate, so if they're not careful, things can go really bad, and they don't know where the Ornn is, though. He's showing up now, and he's upgrading an item. I think it's on the Jinx. Yeah, it's going to be the upgraded IE, as the ultimate will miss the solar flare. Is going to go down, and now Waffles just trying to 1v1 onto Cloudberry, and a huge ultimate coming through from the Misfortune that will lose Waffles in the process, but everyone from Elysium Syndicate is so low metal, the first to fall. Unleashed going forward, he's looking for Cloudberry, who sacrifices his life to try to get his team out, but Muted is caught by the pillar, and Paneer will take that one down. OGH finds a great fight off the back of their support. Call him, we call it, his name's Waffles. You might want to change it to Belgian, because that is a thick Nautilus.
Yeah, they go onto the Nautilus for the side of Elysium, but he takes so long to go down. It means that OGH is getting free damage off onto Elysium. Yes, he gives over a reset, but it's not early enough. And even though there was a shockwave that looked pretty nice from Naysayer, it's not enough. You know, Badger flashed in quite aggressively, and I thought that might be a mistake, but no, the fight is all OGH. Paneer doesn't even have to blow a summoner spell, and Hamankarn is getting beat up by this Trundle now.
Yeah, and Paneer's coming up to help him finish this kill off. Paneer gonna grab that one, get a little bit more gold in the Misfortune's pocket. And now 2,500 up, almost 3,000. OGH, it's been swinging back and forth, but they may, if they keep their fights up like this, they may be able to hold this lead. As now Badger and Naysayer going at it, trading through the orb. Badger just so big right now, and those Merc Treads are doing good work keeping him healthy against this very beefy Naysayer. I mean, between the Seraphs and the Rod of Ages, that is a lot of health, a lot of shield on the side of this Orianna, but not a lot of high damage. Still not the biggest amount of AP, and you know, compared to the burns and everything, a little bit lower on that damage scale, I believe.
With the Baron now live, Mega Gaming Hydra is going to be setting up around that. They have the first move into the enemy jungle, a lot of deep vision. So Elysium Supermassive is going to have to retake this with the, you know, they're gonna have to work together to retake this, because there is a lot of pick potential on the side of OGH. That Nautilus hook lands onto anyone, they could get bursted down pretty quick. There is no Syndra there, but I've got to imagine that Badger will be TPing up to help set up for this objective soon, and Elysium from now is just trying to control the mid wave, but muted.
Oh yeah, oh, the flash hook in from Waffles will force the flash out of muted. So that is a flashless Jinx. That's a terrifying thing as an AD carry. You don't want that. So it's going to be the inside track for OGH onto this Baron. But Waffles continuing his Belgian Waffle playstyle, being so beefy, just holding up this front here.
Muted!
Track, pushing muted back onto the equalizer and knocking him up. He's just burning alive. Badger's going to pick that kill up. The Orno comes in over the top. Unleashed will fall, as will the Waffle. He goes down, but they also lose the Leona. Dwango running away, a double kill going the way of Hamankarn. It's going to be 3 for 2 in favor of Elysium Syndicate. A little odd of a fight. I don't think they quite wanted it in that angle, but bot lane's gone for Elysium, jungle gone for OGH. It means no one's going for the Baron right now.
No one can get the Baron off of that, but the waves should be getting into a nice state for Elysium. They have, yeah, the kill advantage there, and most of that I think is just Viego doing Viego things, and a big ult from Naysayer also to turn the fight after muted gets caught out very early on by Waffles. It's yeah, it's a very important turn for Elysium to find there, because if they lose that Baron, I think they lose control of the game. But as it is, we are still just about even in gold. We've got the Ornn items giving the little scaling boost to Elysium. We've got the enhanced boots making up for that a little bit on the side of Omega Gaming. It's gonna be a close fight, I think, whenever these teams do decide to fight. But it might not be a Baron. There is a dragon in a minute and a half, and they might decide to chill, try to farm up a little bit, and set up vision down towards bot side now, which is, yeah, gonna shift things away from that Baron locale. You can see a lot of vision there right now, but it might be going away in the next minute or so.
Yeah, now 2 for 2 on Dragons. Another minute until Mountain Dragon. It feels like these 5 minutes are going so fast, but we do find another even game. The gold lead just keeps bouncing back and forth and back and forth, and that's going well for both these teams. I think they both put up good numbers. Different sides, though. I feel like it's definitely the jungle game here. It's Hamankarn versus the world for Elysium, and OGH, I feel like it's kind of spread out amongst the team. The gold is anyways. Hamankarn really has absorbed all the gold on the side of Elysium. He's 11 for 16 on the kills. So if he goes down in these fights, I don't know if they have the potential to really continue it. And he is squishy. I mean, it's Viego. Look at that build. That is the Kraken. That is the Lord Doms. That is the Collector, which I wanted to give another name from TFT, but I know that's not correct. And yeah, like, if he goes, I do not know. But I do know that both teams are itching for a fight right now, as everyone is here around the mid side. Dragon is up, and OGH, they're going to go for Dragon, but Elysium's going to call it and go straight for the Baron. It's only Trundle unleashed on the Dragon, so 4v5 around this Baron pit. There goes the Solar Flare. Metal also dropping the ultimate. There goes the Equalizer. They're going to pick up Waffles, but Paneer gets a really nice ult off. Gets two members very low. Waffles is forced to flash just to stay alive. Haman Karn as well. Ooh, they do manage to land the hook from the taken Nautilus onto Rumble, and he will fall. So two members down now for OGH. Trundle on the way up. They're going to give this Baron up instead. They're just going to let him have it and take the mid turret instead. They say, hey, we can't win against you in a 3v5, but we can make sure that we get something out of this. They're going to push onto this turret. Baron secured for Elysium Syndicate, and the gold still continues to be relatively even. I think that is a gold on there for the turret. Does. Okay, so 2,000 gold for Elysium Syndicate plus those item enhancements. We're looking again in a solid spot, but we've seen more shifts in this game already. It could be another coming soon.
It's one step closer to Mountain Soul for OGH, but Elysium should be building themselves a nice little gold lead here. And if they can use that gold lead to get the next dragon or two, they are going to be pretty happy with the situation. And yeah, this Viego just indexing so heavily into damage. He hurts a lot, but I do worry that, you know, one Nautilus hook, one Scatter the Weak could end Elysium's whole career, because as you were talking about, he is so much of their power budget. You know, a Sterex or a Maw, something like that to get him a little tankiness might be a nice insurance policy for Elysium, or, you know, a Guardian Angel, something to make sure that if he gets caught, it takes a little longer. But this mid turret is the target for Elysium, and that's going to give Muted a reset. See where he goes with it.
Yeah.
Down the bot.
It's going to be down over here, trying to get this bot turret, get more control around the dragon pit. Still 3 minutes, almost 3.5 until that next dragon spawns. It would be Soul for the side of OGH, Soul Point for Elysium. The turret, the siege is on, but they don't have enough minions this time, so this should remain up. They're trying to go escort the next wave, but OGH is still here. They do have some good clear. If they need be, they can drop the Equalizer. Mirrors back down. Could also drop the ultimate too. A lot of stack members. There's the Equalizer trying to get as much damage as they can, forcing Naysayer to flash out as that hook comes through. That would have probably been his guaranteed death if he'd been taken. And the siege continues. They're just trying to hold back for this cannon minion, protected at all costs, but Badger goes, nope, this is mine. Throws it away.
Syndra just countering the Baron buff there, and you know it's tricky for Elysium. They want, ideally with the Baron buff, you want to get multiple, like, you know, a member in each lane to buff up as many minions as you can. But their team really wants to play. Group does. Oh, here comes the ults.
Yeah, Solar Flare onto Unleash. He's forced to flash away, but Hammond Karn's ult dunks him from downtown, and now they're looking for Badger. Huge ultimate coming through. It's going to take the Rumble. It's going to take the Syndra. It's going to take the Nautilus. It's going to take the Misfortune. A quadra kill goes the way of Muted. An ace for Elysium Syndicate. And just like that, we might be on our way to a game number 3. Minions are on their way in. They still have Baron. Inhibitor is down. They might try to end this game. Yep, they got the wave. They're going to try to do it. Naysayer does a little jig in there by the inhibitor. They're breaking it through. First goes the first Nexus turret. Down goes the second Nexus turret. 10 seconds till anybody respawns, and this game is done and dusted. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on our way to game number 3.
Game number 3 on the way as a huge quadra kill comes through from my team is Muted. You might think with all the gold share, it was going to be Haman Karn on the Viego getting that penta or quadra, you know, quadra or a penta, but he steals kill number 1, and Muted gets the rest. It's, yeah, I mean, that's how these reset comps go. Someone sooner or later was going to get a big multi-kill like that. And yeah, Elysium Supermassive, pretty happy, I think, with that Baron for Dragon trade they got earlier. When all is said and done, they use that to siege, they use that to force their opponents into an uncomfortable position, you know, trying to take and engage wherever they can, but as soon as Omega Gaming goes for it, they flip it on its head and win the game in a flash.
Yeah, there that went from this could go a little bit more to and waiting for the next dragon to game just over after Unleashed is caught, and Shout out to Halman Karn, definitely the MVP of this game. I don't think that's arguable. He just went off on that Viego. Look at that. Didn't actually have the most damage, but I mean, when you just nuke somebody, you don't really get time to get DPS onto them. They're just dead. And yeah, we're going to a game number 3. I don't think we thought this was going to be the case after how that first game went, but draft just really went their way, and we're finding ourselves now staring down the barrel of one of these teams going 1-2 on the day. That could be a rough spot to find yourself in for either of these teams.
Yeah, both of these comps that the teams drafted are so punishing to make a mistake into, you know. We saw in the early game, like Badger trying to get aggressive for a tower dive on Syndra, walks into Viego, gets popped, and like that's just one of many, many times in this game that someone got caught and it flipped the game back and forth, because it was quite the roller coaster up until that final fight. I really think, you know, if it had Omega Gaming been able to stall things out, we could have seen, you know, it might have been another 5 minutes till the Baron, and that would be the deciding factor there. It's yeah, I think it could have been anyone's game, but yeah, I mean Elysium Supermassive with the win is going to be looking to continue that momentum going into game number 3. They're going to be hoping to make their mark here, you know, bring themselves closer to playoffs, because they're sitting at 2-1. They'd really like the win to hold a leading or hold a winning series record. Omega Gaming also really does not want to drop to 1-3, because you gotta have, yeah. Once you're at that point, you're gonna need a little luck, I think, to make playoffs, depending on how the rest of the group shakes out.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out how it shakes out right after this quick break, so don't go anywhere. Game 3 is coming right up. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to game number 3. Tease there, just like, oh, didn't know you'd be there. But we're back, and we're ready for what's looking to be a very promising game number 3. We've seen OGH take a dominating win. We've seen a little bit of shake, but pretty solid overall from Elysium Syndicate to take a win. And now 1-1. Last game is going to determine who's walking away with an 0-2 in the last week, or who's walking out with a 1-1.
Game 3 gonna have additional bans on the table from the fearless draft. We should see some shakeups in draft. That's actually a bit of a tongue twister. Wow. Yeah, it's going to be a banger. Last game was a banger. It was close until it wasn't. And I'm excited to see what these teams are gonna pull out in this game. Game number 3, I think we got to shout out, Haman Karn for, I think, a pretty solid MVP performance on the Viego there. Viegoing all over the place, even with the very squishy, very risky build. He asserts his dominance on the Rift, wipes people out left and right. And in the end, it's my team is muted who gets the quadra kill to close things out for Elysium Supermassive.
Yeah, and we're going to get underway into this game number 3 draft. And we've had Haman Karn pop off. We've had Dwango pop off. And it's kind of bouncing down the lanes. Could this be Badger's game or Naysayers to pop off? We've seen them both, honestly, be kind of quiet this series. They've had a couple standout moments, but overall it feels like their teams have been the ones that have really been picking it up or dropping the ball. And I want to see something out of these two mids. They've been playing some standard matchups. I want to see something aggressive. I want to see some action coming from them.
Yeah, such is life as a control mage player sometimes. A lot of times you do the damage and kind of silently in the background, but it's your team who's getting the kills, getting the glory, especially with, those Jinx Viego comps. Your number one job as the Ori is to shockwave someone for your team to reset off of. So it's sometimes it's a thankless life out here for us mids, but I hope we get to see some serious heat in that lane, or elsewhere on the map. I am a fan of exciting League of Legends gameplay wherever it comes from, whatever form it may take. So yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
I am too. So here we go. Draft number 3. What's on the board? What are the teams taking? And what do they have in store for us here to buy? Again, gonna be banned here. Don't want that easy lockdown, and I'm gonna guess we'll see a lot of the same bans. So, oh no, until the change up, Ashe gonna be the ban pick here. So will we see more Fiddle, or will that change too?
Yeah, we'll see if there's any other change-ups. Omega Gaming opting to stay on the blue side again, so it's 3 games of blue side for them, 3 games of red for Elysium. We'll see. It seems like they both like where they've been in these games. No reaction swapping to the other side, and we'll see who's whether the counter pick or the first pick ends up being more valuable. But a lot of these bans still sticking around. Fiddle gone, Caitlyn gone. Those these champions that can attack you from out of vision. Oh, Bard is new. I think is Bard gone in the other games.
I don't think Bard was. So that is a new ban, which means that they're likely going for whatever that was. I'm trying to remember what it was off the top of my mind. Hearing is Jackson. Well, they aren't going to take it. It's going to be OGH taking the Jacksonator.
Could be a flex between top or jungle. Has his good matchups, his good value in both. It's going to be an Udyr, another top jungle flex picked up on the side of Elysium. I feel like that if they do send the Udyr into Jax, wherever it may be, they're probably going to be going for that, Phoenix stance. You just unleash the Ice Storm at him instead of trying to auto him, because Jax is Counter Strike. You can't auto him all that much. And it's going to be the Smolder picked up as well. This is a popular pick around this elo, I feel like, because a lot of times he gets to scale up, he gets to get a lot of stacks, and in those late game fights, once you hit that threshold on Smolder, you kind of just auto win. But Omega Gaming is going to pick up the Varus Karma pairing. If I had to guess, that's going to be a lethality Varus that's going to just try to poke Smolder out of lane with the Karma, throw those Mantra Qs, throw those piercing arrows, make it impossible for him to walk up to the wave at all. But Nami is going to try to give him a little bit more sustain, get through that early game and hitting with those stacks. Now we'll see what the bans are for phase number 2. I'd imagine that if this is going to be a lethality Varus, Elysium wants a little bit more frontline to deal with it. To absorb those piercing arrows, have some threat on it, because they don't have hard engage quite yet. And yeah, it's okay. So the Aurora and the Gragas are taken off the table now. Both some more of the AP mid picks. Gragas, more of a top jungle flex. And
I don't think I like OGH's bot lane. I think that's terrible. It's just in my opinion. I think it's a lot of poke, but you hit 6 and you just you just don't do anything anymore. Like what? I feel like Karma falls off so hard. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. The Morgana coming out there also to help deal with chains of corruption. And possible attempts from Jax to stun the Smolder. So yeah, I just feel like there's just so much counter to what OGH has built. Kassadin for Badger. I don't know about that one. I think that's not a great pick into Morgana.
If we're assuming the Morgana's a flex pick. It could be Morgana jungle, your top. A really freaky pick that Elysium could do. They could send the Smolder mid. I think he'd kind of have a free time into the Kassadin, but maybe I'm wrong about that. At least pre-6. And I think that is what it's going to be. It looks like that is going to be Udyr top, Morg jungle, and then either the Corki or Smolder mid, the other one going bot. We'll see how they swap around now that the draft is completed. Also, didn't really touch on it, but there's been a Malphite picked up on the side for Dwango over on Omega Gaming. So that's going to be giving them some much needed hard engage. And yeah, okay, so it's going to the Corki mid. Has a lot more potential to bully the Kassadin earlier. They're going to try to keep him from getting strong and have Smolder scale up down bot instead of going scaling for scaling in the mid lane.
I still just don't know if I like OGH's comp. I just feel like it sounds good on paper, but it's going to get into the game. And I think it has the engage, and if they don't kill anyone, they will lose the team fight. I just think Corki Smolder is just so much more powerful later on. Kassadin, I mean, he is that scaling beast, but it's not, this isn't Xpeke Kassadin. This is modern Kassadin, and he has a hard time in lane, like especially into someone like Corki, who just is gonna poke him all day and never let him farm. This should be fairly easy. Now, Malphite into Udyr, I think Udyr has the early game, like you said. I think Malphite is going to be better for the team later on. I mean, Morg can't black shield everyone, but I don't know. I am not a fan of Varus Karma. I just don't think Karma really is great in the modern game, and lethality Varus has just been kind of gutted over the last year. So I don't know. Not a big fan of it. I feel like Elysium Syndicate has the better comp here, but I want to hear your thoughts, Potatoes. I could be entirely wrong.
I think a lot of the value of the Karma pick is going to be in those Mantra shields. If she's getting that down onto like those topside champions, the melee is letting them run in and do their thing, the pick gets a lot of value. I think as like a pure poke support, it loses a lot of, like if you try going like Malignance or something, I'm not a fan of that build. But if you go more pure Enchanter, I still think it can be very valuable in those late game team fights if you have targets to hit with your Q and your W to keep the Mantra empowerment up on the E. But it is true that it kind of falls off in a way. Now, if Omega Gaming can clinch themselves enough of an early lead for the bottom lane and start turning that into dragons, start getting kills with pressure around the map, I think that's going to be really good for them. But the comp feels a little. I don't really see like a clear identity. I mean, I guess the easiest way they want to play fights is like let the bot lane poke and then the top side goes in and cleans up. They got the Jax and the Kassadin to follow up on Malphite engage. So if they're hitting a big Malphite ult into the follow-up there while the enemy team's already poked down, it looks pretty good. I think things are a little more straightforward for Elysium. The biggest gap for Elysium is that they don't really have a form of hard engage. They don't have an easy way to just take a fight into their hands. They kind of need Omega Gaming to start things off and then fire back at them with their, with the binding from Morgana, the bubble from Nami, and let their carries do their thing. I do think the lack of CC could really make it hard for them to deal with Badger later on.
Yeah, and Morgana did, finally we see one of these champions that's in the patch notes. Got a nerf this patch.
I've been thinking Morgana's like a sleeper OP for a couple patches now. I've been seeing it pop up, mid and jungle. And in support, it's not as great, but her wave clear is very strong. Her clear is very strong, and it's which just makes her really hard to punish. And if you have something on your team that really, you know, gets a good amount of value out of the Black Shield, you're pretty happy to just like nuke waves and then take a fight, you know, fish with binding. And yeah, so I'm happy to see it go down in priority a little bit, as there might be some poke to start the lane off here.
A little bit of poke down here from Paneer and Waffles. Yeah, so the Morgana nerf is to mid. It's her armor growth. It went from 5 armor per level to 4.2. So at max level, she's down about, what's that? Almost 16 armor. Topside Wango, and that'll juke it out here. But doesn't impact her jungle clear, so she's just gonna be healthy and clear. It's gonna be those team fights where we really see it. And now you go Naysayer, Badger going at it. Badger gonna have the worst time until level 6. It's Kassadin pre-6 is not a champion. It's like Kale, but you don't become ranged. You just become mobile.
His power pre-6 is like, kind of like baiting you into trying to poke him too much, and then your jungler comes. That's the real strength. As
yeah,
Unleashed is down in the bot jungle here.
Yeah, he's trying to steal this blue side jungle. And get a little bit of that Morgana coming over too, so she doesn't know. And that should be a pretty easy secure going the way of the Jax. So 2 objectives will be missing for the Elysium jungle. That is the downside of Morgana. She can CC, she has a decent gank, but doesn't have the best time early on getting through through those waves. Definitely would lose a 1v1 early on. As Badger doing what you said, dragging their jungler into the overcommit. Naysayer flashing, but everyone chases after him. He's still running, but First Blood's gonna go the way of the Badger.
It's exactly like I said. You say, oh, I picked the early game champion. I have to punish Kassadin before he gets drawn. But when you're using your mobility tool, your only form of escape to go in there, you have no way away from that Jax, from the Kassadin following through you. And so yeah, it's First Blood onto Omega Gaming. He's got 700 gold up at 3 minutes. That's pretty considerable.
Yeah, that is a pretty sizable lead to generate early on. 700 gold up, and seeing the Morgana rotating down to bot too. So I actually think this is a much worse spot for OG8's lane, because Karma and not Victor Varus, I mean Victor would have the same issue, don't really have ways to dash or dodge CC outside of just hoping it doesn't hit them. They're not the most mobile of carries. They don't have spell shields. So if Morgana shows up down here like Hammond Karn is looking for in mid, things can go as well, really well. Metal though on the top side, eating a lot of damage from Dwango. The Unchained Malphite is not going to find that kill quite yet. Everyone getting low all across the map as Paneer was looking for Cloudberry and muted in the bot lane. Oh, the flash forward from Dwango. He finds it. He is finally living up to the name. He's Unchained and gets the second kill of the game.
OGH pushing the lead early in game number 3 here. It's, you know, people don't think of Malphite as a champion with a lot of solo kill potential, but he does find it there. The bot lane for OGH also finding a lot of poke onto the enemy bot. Looks like they may try to take a reset here, get set up for a dragon. And despite the HP lead, CS is pretty even in the bottom lane, which means Smolder is going to be pretty happy here.
Yeah, he's in a pretty happy spot. He just wants to farm up, and the lethality Varus, no lethality yet, so doesn't have all the enhancement. Does getting the tier violated stack, but it is going to be a while before that's fully online. And Smolder, he's just content with this farm in the meantime, as the team look to a 1,000 gold lead for OGH to start this out. Dragon is up, but no one has moved their way. Slowest I think we've seen a dragon at this point. Usually one's gone down by now in the last 2 games. So both these teams know that they need to take things more slowly. They need to be more cautious. They need to be extra mindful of what they're doing. And Waffles looking for Naysayer in the mid lane, but it's hard to gank a Corki if he's not gone in already.
Yeah, when
Waffles dodging a lot of things, but can't dodge that bubble. Now running from Hammond Karn. Gonna get the poke back, but Spell Shield will block most of the damage.
Yeah, that Corki is pretty tough to threaten if he's being cautious with his mobility there. Wow.
Hey, Metal might be dead if he stays around this too long. The ultimate coming on in. Unstoppable Force gonna rip a lot up. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Waffle's gonna get stunned up and locked down. Naysayer's gonna pick that kill up. Unleash is over here too with Badger. They're not quite 6 yet. Dwango looking for Metal, who is just a sliver of health left. And on the bottom side, Smolder keeps doing Smolder things, and Paneer keeps doing, well, I guess, Paneer things.
That's a really important kill for Elysium to get onto that Corki. They need him to be able to punish this Kassadin before that gets out of hand. And Cloudberry is just going to fight Paneer 1v1. I didn't think that Malphite would have so much early threat onto an Udyr. I don't know if that's just a hands difference, if Dwango is playing better, or if there's something about this matchup I didn't know. But I thought Udyr would kind of just be able to sustain through the poking and Malphite as Dragon should be doing it.
Yeah, there should be a fight. Dragon gonna go the way of Elysium Syndicate, but Waffle's gonna root up Cloudberry, who does flash the wall. Badger is 6, though. He could go in if he's looking for it, but doesn't want to get stunned by Hammonkarn. So first Dragon finally going the way of Elysium after 3 games. And I'm also surprised by the Malphite too, because if you look at what's being built, he built a Bramble into AP Udyr. Now, granted, that is reducing significantly the heals Metal could get and that sustain, but you would think the AP alone would just be enough to kind of burn through him, and so it is impressive that it has been such a struggle for Metal already.
Yeah, I feel like on this Udyr, you kind of want to like cycle through those empowered versions of your abilities very frequently, but I haven't seen the Storm get unleashed very much, which I think is kind of like the main trading tool for that champion. So I don't know if we just haven't had the chance to see it happen, or if he's actually kind of missing out on some uptime for those unleashed abilities. What it's
I think he's been
awakened, the awakened version.
Yeah, I think he has actually used it, but because it's Malphite just standing on top of him, it's not really going anywhere, so it's not like spinning around the waves getting that extra damage out, because it does kind of follow the target. So I think that's been it, or it might just be he hasn't used it. It's hard to tell because of just how close they are in these fights, but it is the main trading tool. You have 2 trading tool options for the Udyr. If you go AD, you have the max Q with the lightning. If you go AP, you have the Phoenix stance. So I feel like that, especially with the armor coming out of Malphite, this should really be going Metal's way more. And the fact it's not is definitely going to raise questions about, if he can actually pull it out in this matchup. But Paneer going to be the source of an engage here. Cloudberry going to drop the ultimate down. They're going to trade 1 kill, trade a second to the way of OGH. That gank down bottom ends in disaster for Elysium Syndicate as they lose their mid laner and support. Maybe lose a little bit more. Waffles is trying to chain him up, but I think it's because I actually don't know what he was doing there. A little bit questionable. Flashing forward. Muted gets the kill. Waffles. Brother Waffles, please.
Yeah, great play by Paneer, just walking forward through the Nami ultimate.
Oh, hang on. Metal might be dead. He's going to get ulted on and engage the unstoppable force. Dwango, another solo kill on this Malphite.
Second solo of the game for Dwango, just styling on him with this tank top pick. As and I mean, another thing to look at here is the Udyr's rush swiftness boots, but those don't reduce damage. They don't increase your damage. Yes, they give you, target access. They get you in and out of the fight, but they certainly cannot be an unstoppable force in a race. And Paneer might be up too far here.
Yeah, Paneer going up a little bit too much. Cloudberry and Naysayer are here. They aren't under the turret this time, but they are channeling a little bit. Paneer taking a lot of damage. Naysayer flashing forward. Waffles looking. Won't be able to get him in the shield in time, and he will fall. Unleashed is coming up from behind, but so is Hammonkarn, who will stun him and lock him down. My team is muted. Slays him, and 2-0 go the way of Elysium Syndicate. They're really putting a lot of pressure on this bot lane. Top lane is lost. Let's try to get bot rolling is what their plan is, I think. And now Hammonkarn looking for Waffles. Varus on his way back, but he is not anywhere close enough. Waffles got to start trying to run. Gets rooted up. Gets taken down. Naysayer will easily pick that kill up. This Morgana. Hammonkarn looking for these Krugs. Could give an opportunity for Paneer to get back into the game. He's going to throw down the Chains of Corruption. Throw the shot of that arrow, but it will force the flash from Hammonkarn, who will get away, but now has no summoners.
Karn making moves in the bottom lane, getting those Krugs, getting the dive off, much more successful than the first one. And yeah, it's really a cross map. Oh wait, Metal suddenly
I don't know if
winning.
you want to take this, buddy. He gets engaged again by the Unstoppable Force. Kassadin goes in, but it's Dwango who will pick it up and burns Metal's flash in the process.
Metal thinks he's getting
Waffles.
tasted. Oh.
Waffles gonna find Naysayer, gonna root him up, and they're looking for the stun. They are gonna land it. The Jaxalt comes through to give him a little bit more time with the turret, but Naysayer will pick the kill up, and Waffles will manage to trade it back. Oh, that could have ended so badly if he hadn't been able to trade that.
Just on the very edge of the turret range.
Dwango?
Dwango gets away from the dark binding. But yeah, these teams need to. They're 1 for 3 on successful dives so far, I would say, or at least fully successful dives. So I don't know. Maybe they've got to cool off a little bit. But I'm excited to see them looking for these plays, even if they're not going 100% the way they want to. Now Dwango's got to flash away. I feel like Metal has somehow kind of randomly hit the point where he is actually doing okay in the 1v1. I think it's just because Dwango has so much armor that the Udyr is finally starting to hurt a little bit. But as soon as he gets that taste of victory, he starts trying to chase after the Malphite and gets unleashed, showing up on him. Goes 0-3, down 30 CS, but still playing with confidence. I don't know if he should be, but yeah, we're still quite even in this game. It's 1 objective apiece for these teams, just a slight 300 gold lead over on the side of Omega Gaming, and this dragon should be the next point of aggression for both of these teams, as they're gonna try to fight for control in these lanes, make their way over to that objective sooner or later.
Yeah, and I want to say Naysayer is at 5 and 3, but he's actually, I think, slightly behind in gold and items on Badger, at least from what I'm seeing, because he hasn't backed yet. But there's a full rod on Badger. It's been there for a couple of minutes, but Naysayer's going for the Triforce, but his spread his buys out. He bought the Merc Treads first. He got the tier. So he's a little bit off from finishing that first item. So the gold has kind of gotten spread around and not really finish anything. And so the value of that lead is just not quite as good as second dragon of the game. Going to go the way of Elysium Syndicate. Going to be Ocean Soul this time. That could be a good 4 drag to stack for both these teams.
2 Drakes over to the side of Elysium is going to make that soul much easier for them to look for, but Metal could be under the threat of a dive here. So he's going on to Dwango, but it's away from his tower.
Yeah, and Dwango, we said, Badger had to come up and gank for him earlier, but I think he can honestly still take the 1v1. It looked like he basically had it. If he didn't finish him, if Badger hadn't finished him, it's going to be a QE to finish it off, as Waffles now getting engaged on with that tidal wave. Looking for Unleashed and Paneer. My team is muted while confirming as Karn has shown up. Naysayer is here as well. Big ol' Corky. Smolder keeps scaling, doing Smolder things, but Badger is here. This could be the opportunity. Now he's going back up. He's just going to keep an eye on Naysayer. And Dwango keeps just dominating up here in the top side. And without these plates, he could get potentially the first turret here that is breaking up. But bottom side, he's gonna claim it first. Elysium taking it down. First turret of the game. Top soon to follow.
Yeah, this next neutral objective could give Elysium those feats of strength if they get it, as Badger's taking the 1v1 with that level 11 timer. Not gonna get too much out of it though. It feels like Elysium's really opted to play for the bottom lane, try to get the Smolder and Corky ahead instead of trying to punish the Kassadin. We'll see if that pays off for them in the end, as the Kassadin has gotten to this Rod of Ages relatively freely, and it's only just now that Naysayer's taking this back. I expect to see a lot of items come through. Metal.
This is the end of Metal. Yep, there he goes. Badger picks up the kill. 2-0 on the Kassadin. They're gonna feed the Naysayer bot laners. Cool. They're gonna start feeding Badger the top laners.
Yeah, Badger taking a nice kill, nicely donated over by Dwango. He's already got himself a nice lead. He doesn't need much more. And side laning could be a challenge for Elysium. Now that this Malphite is still ahead and, Kassadin has so much mobility, it's going to be tough for either of their solo laners to play on these side waves. It's really going to be the objective setups, I think, that are going to give Elysium the win if they're able to find anything as we head solidly into the mid game. We're still pretty even. It's a 1k gold lead for the side of Omega Gaming. But it's 2 Drakes up for Elysium, and the third one, or the Otacon, I guess, is going to decide who gets the shiny boot upgrade. As the teams are grouping around mid, we'll see if there's any fight breaking out here.
And there goes Cloudberry's ultimate. Hammond are now going to be forced to flash over to get away from Dwango. And I still am not happy with Metal's build. I still don't think the Swifties are the right answer. I really think you needed Merc Treads in this situation to just divert some of the CC and the damage coming through from Dwango. And it's just going really rough for him. This is now the second game that I feel like it's a diff.
Malphite ult
attempt from him.
misses.
Yeah, it does miss, but it has a fairly low cooldown, so that should be back up soon. You can already see it's almost through a quarter of its cooldown already. And was a good attempt, though. They did not get any... Oh, actually, I think... No, Hammond flashed before that. So nothing was gained from that. Minute 20 until the dragon is up. Malphite ult will be up in time, already almost at the halfway point. That's one of those ones you can just kind of fire off, and as long as you don't die, you should be fine, because it has like a 60-second cooldown or something like that. And it comes Unleashed, and the flank from Badger going on to Hammondkarn. Unleashed going forward, gets the stun after they break through the Black Shield. Hammondkarn trying to get that huge ultimate to root someone up. Badger getting stunned, locked up, hit from Mom. Badger so close, but the Smolder does Smolder things, gets the shutdown. Now Dwango gonna try probably to flash forward, but doesn't have the ultimate, so wouldn't be maybe the best idea. Another root landing onto the Malphite. He is tanky, but not that tanky. He is shielded, but not for long, and he will fall. My team's view picks him up. Unleashed going forward, looking for one, but a triple kill. No, sorry, a double kill the way of Smolder. And he be big smoldering right now. 11-8 in favor of Elysium Syndicate.
Elysium gets the carries where they want them to be. They get the kills onto who they need them on. It's a 5-0 Smolder and a 6-3 Corki. Omega Gaming thinks they have the pick on a Hammondkarn's Morgana, but he just gets a second health bar out of nowhere when he drops that QW and the Soul Shackles. It's just, we saw his health bar go up by like 300 or 400 in less than a second. And so the play completely turns around. It's the CC lockdown that gets the first kill, and then Dwango Unchained shows up but doesn't have the unstoppable force, which means he's not that much of a force to be reckoned with in the fight. And as tanky as he is, there is enough damage, enough shred on the side of Elysium that they get through that health bar pretty quick. Now they're going to get the Ocean Drake here.
Pretty clean Ocean Drake, no contest. That will go down. So soul point now for Elysium Syndicate. You might see in 5 minutes time them get that. Though the last time we said that, they just ended the game. So let's see if they do it yet again. I don't think they're in quite as good a position this time. Up 2,000 gold currently, 19 and a half minutes into this game number 3. And Unleashed and OGH, it started decent, but really good from Elysium Syndicate, recognizing that bot lane was a vulnerable target and punishing. Oh, hang on. Naysayer in the top side gets engaged on. The Malphite ult, again, low cooldown, so it's pretty free to just go in and use it as a poke tool, get a little bit of clear with it, and force that Corki back. This should allow Malphite some time to go forward. And Waffles found by Hammondkarn. Gonna get rooted up with the ultimate, stunned up, locked up, and not long for this world. He will go down, and well, I don't really like that karma. It's just, what do you do now at this point in the game? You're out of lane, you don't get to poke, so you just hope you can get a ward down and then die. As Atacon will be started up by Elysium.
Yeah, you've kind of got to be a shield bot for your team at this point with the karma. Group up with someone who can face check those bushes for you. Someone like the Jax or the Malphite. Don't really want to see Malphite just side laning into the Corki and blowing ult to get no value. Instead, he should be team fighting. Outacon's gonna go down. It will be at least one turret traded back in the mid lane for Omega Gaming, but once again, Elysium quite happy with the trade of objectives here. They're now up about 2,000 gold, 3 Drakes, and Otacon. It's looking like it's going to be tough for Mega Gaming to get back into this. And I think the person that they really needed to get strong here was the Jax. The Jax has a lot of answers for those squishy members because he's got the counter strike to get, you know, dodge the damage from those autos, to lock them up and just chunk through the health bars. But he's 0 and 3. He's quite behind at this point, and the CC layering from the Morgana and Nami is making it really hard for him to do his job in this game.
And now we find ourselves 2.5 minutes until the Dragon could be the next big fight opportunity for both of these teams. Could be the deciding point in this game. Waffles continuing to push up in the mid lane. Very aggressive for a support to be walking up all alone like that. But Karma be Karma, and the focus now is just to gain control around this jungle, gain control of the scuttle, gain control around this river. OGH needs to start stacking these oceans. They cannot allow any more to go the way of Elysium Syndicate.
Yeah, they are on a 2-minute timer until this game gets that much harder for them.
Yeah. And now, where will the next play be? I say Dragon, but I've got to feel these teams, they look like they're jockeying for something. They're waiting for an opportunity to go on somebody. And it could be Badger if he comes down. No, he's going to stay up top. But they are rotating up around. They might be looking to flank him.
Yeah, if they can get this kill on a Badger, that is going to be huge. Probably will unlock a turret for them. And they're scrapping up top here.
Yeah, now Naysayer being engaged on Cloudberry. Cloudberry finds Badger, who goes back in looking for Naysayer, but does not have the damage with the Black Shield there and will fall. 1.5 minutes until the Baron. Until the Dragon is a Baron's 2 minutes out. But, yeah, Cassid, they're just really doing a good job on keeping Badger from really getting snowballed in this game.
I mean, the carries for Elysium are just so strong, you know. Ideally for Cassid, and this would be the point in the game where you can just R in on people and they have to run, they have to blow flash, but you've got, you know, this Corki and the Smolder who are, yes, they're squishy, but they're ahead enough that they can just turn and fight. Cassid's specialty is dealing with the AP threats, and this is a double AD carry setup that Elysium's got going on. The AP is in the jungle and the top lane, and they're much more durable. So, yeah, it's a harder game for Cassid than we might have expected, because of where the gold is sitting for Elysium right now.
Yeah, and OGH, they're really going to have to rely on Dwango this game. 3-1-1 on the Malphite, up 52 CS, now 50 CS on his lane opponent. He's 3 items in on this Malphite, the biggest person on the Rift. You've got to feel that, like, if they're going to have any way back into this, it's going to be off a play from him. He needs to get on to Naysayer, he needs to get on Muted, or even Hamankar. And if they can just pop one of them, it might make the chances a little bit easier. Dragon is now spawned, and they're going to be right onto it from the members of OGH. But Elysium is already down in the area. Dwango going to exert his presence here on the map. Metal trying to push forward. Hamankarn looking to maybe just flash over the wall. And he does, and he gets the steal! Ocean Soul goes the way of Elysium Syndicate. Now can OGH get out? They're being chased down by the tidal wave. And from the blizzard there, coming out from the Metal. Everyone does get out, but it costs 3 flashes actually. It costs them the soul. It may just cost them this game in the long term.
Ocean Soul over to Elysium, super massive. That Dragon is going to be super massive for them, and it's a great play from Hamankar, just playing around the vision. I mean, OGH was there early. They had the first setup, but that means they hadn't had time to back to reset those wards, and so when Elysium clears through, they know pretty much exactly where that vision is, and Hamankar just plays over the wall, uses the flash to get in and get away with daylight robbery. Now Elysium is going to lose their bot turret, but this Baron buff shall be theirs in just a few seconds here. It goes down pretty fast to this trio, the 280 carriers and the Leandry's Morgana, who's finally going to get to complete her second item. She's surprisingly behind the curve considering how much impact that pick has had in this game, I feel like.
Yeah, I think her abilities are kind of falling off right before she gets the assist, so it hasn't looked quite as strong. But Metal trying to get a pick here, gets flash forward onto Unleash to stun him up. The ultimate coming through, but it will not be enough. Muted's gonna slay him. He is fully online. The Smolder is smoldering, He's got the 225 stacks. He's ready. He doesn't need an Elder Dragon. He is the Elder Dragon. As they march on forward, the Paddle Wave going to land on the Waffles, who will not be long for this. Well, a beautiful flash from Naysayers catches Dwango unprepared from the ultimate, and he will go down. A double kill goes the way of the Smolder, and now the inner turret falls. The inhibitor turret is going to be the next on the menu. It's just Badger right now. He could ult forward, but I'm going to guess if he does, he will not live to tell the tale. Inhibitor turret falls. Inhibitor will fall. Badger now trying to run away. Can't get the R out. Goes Golden trying to run. Mom comes in from above, but Smolder keeps smoldering. Muted goes Legendary. We see Metal has teleported on in. They want to end this game. They are done playing these reindeer games though, GH. They want their 2-1 victory. Unleashed will fall. Muted gonna go Legendary there. Waffles the next. Gonna be going to Naysayer. It's just Paneer versus 5. He may be good, but he can't 1v5 just yet, and he won't get the chance as Elysium Syndicate takes the series 2-1.
2-1 victory for Elysium, surging back in games 2 and 3 after that, really shaky game number 1. I think, especially for those last 2 games, I've really got to shout out Hamankarn. I thought the Jarvan looked a little sloppy, but the Viego and the Morgana were thoroughly on point in these 2 games. Again, it was an assist-heavy game for the Morgana, but he was doing a great job securing objectives, baiting the enemy team, finding picks where they mattered, and really just making it impossible for Jax to play the game. That's supposed to be one of the carries for the side of OGH, but he just doesn't get to do anything.
Yeah. Again, it was another great game out of Hamankarn. I know we're going to look at that 10-0 Smolder, but a lot of that was done because Morgana hit great Black Shields, because she was hitting such good stuns. We even saw a couple of counter ganks that were turned because Hamankarn came through with the Morgana. So I'm going to give them the MVP. We had questions about the Morgana jungle, but they made it work. They made it a key point in getting those carries ahead, to the point that Smolder and Corki just tore through that last fight. And Elysium, they're happy to right the ship. They're happy to end the week with another victory. I think that puts them at 3-1 now, correct? But for OGH, they were so close in 2 games, but can't quite get it, and they fall to 1-3 in the season, and they're looking good, but it feels like there's just like that little bit. There's just that little bit more they need to do to just take it over the edge and really become one of those good, really strong teams.
Yeah, they were. Just missing that little bit. And I mean, in game, I hate to talk too much about draft, but I do feel like in game 3, it felt like they were really kind of lacking an identity in the draft to give them a clear path to victory. It's like they had scaling in weird places. They wanted to push the lead through bot early, but then it was top that was getting ahead and their bot was getting behind. So it was all turned upside down for OGH in that game.
Yeah, and we're happy we're hopefully get to see both of these teams going up again in the next couple weeks. We'll hopefully get to see them again on stream. I always like to see teams improve on camera, but we are actually, because we're so close in this, we got done so early, we're going to throw it over to Titan 2 so you can finish out Demon Hunters versus Glacial Spectre. Production, take it away.